just have to be careful with this cable routing so I don't jiggle it too much. Sadly, it's just not the most stable mount in the world because it's I hope they don't freak. Okay, keyboard, good, got that working again. Where is that setting? I haven't used the software in a long time. I can go to a wider shot there.
I may have accidentally
Probably
started
just want to be
streaming
like
with
All right, there we are. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Apologize for this somewhat late start and unknown hosting situation. Coury is alone with the kids. His wife is taking a trip that I think is like combination business and vacation to Paris. And so he's like alone with the kids for the longest time he's ever had to do that. And, so he's, I think, having a little difficulty holding down the fort at the moment. So he might show up.
Kids, relying on kids, the best laid plans, they didn't ever work out.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know.
So anyway, we've got Henry, our longtime friend and supporter, Henry Clark. I hate to admit our kind of unofficial IT help. the first person I ask about computer parts.
Hey, I help wherever I can. That's good with me.
Am I talking to a man that might or might not own a RTX 5090?
Oh God.
Are there stories to tell?
There's as much frustration as you had times multiple over here. As I tried to get either an 80 or a 90. I really don't need an 80, but realized that I could, and because I can get most of the money out of my 4080 Super with what they're selling for still. If I found one, my buddy who lives with me is also looking for a 4080. He tried, or a 90. He tried. I had all kinds of different apps and alerts set up. I tried for all day long. I did everything reasonably possible, and there was a really good video Gamers Nexus put out. Steve did a big dive into the potential numbers, because there was a spreadsheet went out of every single unit that Micro Center had of 5080 and 5090, and it was abysmally low. It was around 250 5090s for Micro Center in the US, period.
Wow.
Yeah, less than right at 250 units.
That's insane.
So few, and there was something like 200 or like 2,200 5080s to go around, and those are all partner cards, mind you, so they cost more. The partner cards always cost more than the Nvidia cards. Nvidia's website completely crashed. Like they were throwing SSL or TLS certificate errors from the moment they went live. So I honestly, the way they did that looks like they took it down themselves. It didn't look like a DDoS type thing. It looked like they actually just said the heck with everybody and took their own site offline, is what it looked like to me, from the type of errors it was throwing, the way it was throwing them. And I tried Best Buy. I knew Best Buy was going to be the best bet, and tried, had alerts set up, and I was so many times it was like, you're in line, and then nothing happened. Trying to get the FE, because I wanted the FE is significantly smaller than all the partner cards, and I wanted that to preserve my extra PCI Express slots.
See, I didn't even know that there were going to be I've never really followed the launch of a graphics card before, so I didn't even know there were going to be partner cards.
Oh, honestly, partner cards were the only way they existed for the longest time.
I didn't know it launched. Like, I thought launch was always like Founders Edition,
Yeah, no, the Founders is there at launch, and it's usually smaller quantities than the others too. But used to, the Founders Editions barely existed, and nobody wanted them because the coolers were crap. But starting in the 3000 series generation, NVIDIA finally got their stuff together and made some decent coolers. In the 4000 generation, they made what was arguably the best cooler. In the 5000 generation, the coolers on the FE they're not necessarily the coolest coolers, but they are by far the best, because they're 2-slot. For a 5090, a card that uses 575 watts, they have a 2-slot solution that works extremely well. And all the other partner cards, except for one that exists, the rest of them are well over 3 slots. So they're between 3 and 4 slots each. And if anything over 3 slots for me, and the same motherboard you have and Coury has, because you guys came to me for suggestions, and I sent you guys the same motherboard I use and I absolutely love, the extra PCI slots we utilize, because I use my PCI slots. it's blocked if your GPU is greater than 3.0 slots. And I say that specifically because so many rate these days in 3.1, 3.2. There's one out there that's 3.275 slot, and that blocks where I have a 2.5-inch NVMe SSD in a Optane SSD in that first slot, and I don't want to lose that. So I need something that's no more than 3-slot cooler.
Well, I was just glad that you told me the Gamers Nexus said that specifically, I guess they use like 3090s for their, productivity work, video editing, video rendering, and stuff like that, which happens to be, you kind of steered me toward taking a chance on a used 3090, oh gosh, well, I guess about a year and a half ago. And, I crossed my fingers and, luckily it's turned out great for me. I mean, it ended up being, in really good shape. And, I was debating though, I was like, oh man, 5090 is way too expensive. And not that I want to pay 5080 prices either, but like, the 5080 has like just barely more CUDA cores than the 3090. It has less RAM. I'm sure faster and more modern RAM and more modern features. But, as someone who's mainly concerned with video editing performance, I was really skeptical if like 5080 was going to be an upgrade over 3090. And then when you told me what Gamers Nexus said about they are sticking with 3090 versus 5080 for exactly the work I do, yeah. I'm like, well, that settles exactly. It. I'm not gonna waste my time trying to get one of these 50 series.
I had just watched that video and then you asked me about it. I'm like, funny you should say that. the people that do arguably the best testing in the entire world on these video cards, in terms of original style benchmarks, yeah, they're not changing over because the VRAM, they found that the 24 gigs of VRAM was just more beneficial for a heavy editing workload than the more better efficiency and more raw power of the newer generation.
Yeah.
Assuming if you're going down from 3090 to 5080, going down from a 90 class to an 80 class card.
And honestly, things have been pretty good with editing. It's just that certain effects that you do, like no matter how good the GPU or CPU is, like you just have to render. You have certain effects.
My phone going crazy. Sorry.
You have to render that section of the timeline to be able to view it smoothly, and that's fine. And so the main thing that would do is just render that a little faster. So
right.
I'm in pretty good shape
VRAM
on
was
that.
Gonna make a much bigger deal from. I don't have a whole lot of experience being very amateur with my editing, but yeah, if Steve's crew staying on it, I think it's probably a safe bet that the 3090 is going to be the more reliable card for that purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy I do not have to buy anything.
It saves you money.
So before we get going here, just to catch up on the couple of super chats there was a $2 super chat from Jonathan Henson. Saying, Henry, my man.
How's it going?
I actually had a chat with Jonathan Henson a few days ago. He just got his RetroTink 4K, and we're talking about like kind of teaming up to actually get around and making some more profiles for like fixing poorly scaled like Switch games and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
I think
there's a lot of those out there. That
the thing is, and this is what I told him, like, I just like actively enjoy using the RetroTink 4K so much. Like I enjoy like having my hands on the remote and like dialing in the settings that like even though I was talking so much about all that stuff, like in that video, like I've ended up not making as many actual profiles for like fixing games and stuff like that as I should. Just because like, I just enjoy like turning it on and being like, okay, what settings do I want to use for this game tonight? Like,
it's a rabbit hole.
And two, I think actually like having my hands on it in that fashion, helps keep me sharp, I guess, right? Like it helps me be like on top of, things I need to be on top of, to do the kind of content I like to do. So
Yeah, because I don't mess with that as much. I spent a lot of time when I first got it. I created, based off somebody else's profile, one that I really like for just a general profile for all 240p and some 480i content. And I pretty much just use that. But when I do need to make a change, like when I was trying to do some 480p one the other night, I had to kind of relearn how to do it. And then at the end of it, I realized, wait, I actually don't like any of this on 480p. and went back to raw image because I turned on my Dreamcast for the first time in a very long time. First time since having the 4K set down to actually play something on a Dreamcast, and I'm like, all of these kind of suck. Nope, I just went raw. I just went raw 480 to 4K, and I preferred that over anything else I could do. So
yeah, I see Jonathan Henson. He was talking about getting a capture card to do captures of 1080p stuff, and yes, those AverMedia cards, the newest ones, the ones that do 2.1, don't do 444 at 2160p. But I'm not super great on that model number, GC573. I think that's the older like the HDMI 2.0 Live Gamer 4K. I think, which it will definitely do 444 for 1080p. Not positive about 4K, but watch Epos Vox's videos. He should break all that down in his videos. There was also $10 super chat from Enchilada. Thank you. Saying have fun with the remake. They did a pretty good job with it, and I enjoyed it. Have fun playing it. Try. Greetings to Henry too. Glad you could join us. I am also glad you could join us.
hey,
So
anytime.
let me switch over to the game here. So I am actually a pretty good ways into the game. I've been hitting this game really hard since Friday. I pretty much took it easy this week after getting that video out on Tuesday, the M Classic Bad Beyond Belief video. And
it's so weird. I think even who was it? Was it Bob or no? I don't know if it was Bob or somebody at DF mentioned like it was so weird to see something an uncharacteristically negative review from you on something.
I think it was. I mean, it was. We were kind of debating. Like we were like, oh man, saying like Bad Beyond Belief in the title. Like I actually said it in the script, but we're like, is that too like clickbaity for us? Is that like inappropriate for the thumbnail and title? But I'm thinking, like not that. I mean, it's for one, it's true. It's how I truly feel. They are bad beyond belief. I did not expect them to be particularly good, but they were way worse than I expected, and just absolutely no logic to what they do whatsoever. And I thought the only way people are going to watch this it's just for the train wreck value of it. So we decided to put that on the thumbnail, and like that did like raise people's attention. Like, whoa, like MLiG doesn't do thumbnails and titles like that. This has got to be something.
And so are you telling us that you're not using the M Cable Switch Edition right now?
We are not using the M Cable Switch Edition right now. You all are just getting 1080p capture. Although I think this game might be 900p, if I'm not mistaken.
Forget.
And of course, it's 30 FPS, which is the big point of contention. Honestly, I didn't even think about the fact that the original version was 60 FPS back in those days. Like that wasn't something I actively thought about unless someone said like, oh, this game is 60 FPS. I'm like, oh yeah, that's real smooth. Like I just didn't think about it back in those days. Like I didn't even know, like it just never clicked in my head that like, traditionally speaking, like the sprite-based consoles were almost always 60 FPS games. I didn't know about 240p. I didn't know about any of that stuff back then. The funniest thing though about what they've done with the remake graphics, and I wonder, I'm really curious how heavy this is, but like the reflections in this game are insane. Like, have you played this?
No, I have not.
Have you played the original version?
No, because I keep trying to get through the very first game and I keep falling off. I've gone through the beginning of the first game so many times and got 5 hours in, 10 hours in. And...
If you can't really, I think the first game is a little. I've only played it once. This is my first time like actually replaying a Paper Mario game, and this is this is the fan favorite like by a mile as far as I can tell. This game just like it just has so much more going on in terms of just like it's just a more interesting scenario. Like Paper Mario is like, oh, Bowser captured Peach, and to be honest, a lot of the later Paper Mario games are that too. But this game is like totally different. Some really dark scenarios and stuff like that. Actually, like okay. I mean, the main hub is this super like dangerous port, taken over by gangs and stuff. But man, let me show you. So you like these reflections, this puddle looks pretty good, but like, it's almost seems a little weird that this like main floor here is like reflective at all. Cause this is like a dingy town. Like it makes me think of like the Bloom and Wind Waker HD where like I haven't really followed a lot of what people have said about the remake, but like I could very much see the reflections of this being divisive. But like, look at this. Not only is it on the floor, but like when you get close to the wall here, like it's reflective. Wow. Like if you did not know that the Switch could not do ray tracing, like if this were on the Switch 2, for instance, and you saw this, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's ray tracing, because it's just like.
It's really clean.
Like almost every like so many surfaces have like at least a small degree of reflectivity, to where you like on every surface, and the reflections are like really plausible. So like if this was on Switch 2, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the Switch 2 using its ray tracing capabilities. Let me show you one that I thought was really cool. So by the way, I'm like quite far into this. I actually just finished getting the 5th star. I've been like spending a significant portion of my days since Friday playing this, partly because the Still Loading podcast, who Josh, the host of that's been he was my guest when I played 007 Nightfire, and I've been on his podcast several times. He always does something for his podcast special for Mario month, March, right?
Of course.
And this year he's doing RPGs, and he asked like, oh, hey, are any of these ones you can be on? I could have done like the original Mario RPG without any refresher at all, because I know that game inside and out, and had played the remake, when it came out anyway. And so anyway, I was like, well, you know what? I really want to, but I think he already had like guests lined up for that one. So I was like, you know what? I really want to, I really want to play the remake of Thousand Year Door, because Thousand Year Door is really good to begin with. And so I was like, I'll use this as my excuse to actually play the Thousand Year Door remake. And we're recording at the end of next week, and I had put it off and put it off and put it off, and now I'm like, okay, now that this video is done, I'm just going to hit this hard so I can replay the game like I said I would. But anyway, also I should mention while I'm mentioning the Still Loading podcast, he just released, I think today, an interview that he did a few weeks ago with, I think his name is David Cassidy, and he was one of the guide writers, the main guide writers for was it either Prima or Brady games.
Yeah, I know the name's familiar.
Yeah, it was either Prima or Brady Games, and he did like PS1, PS2 era, tons of Squaresoft RPGs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw something about this interview.
Yeah, so and he said like from what he had looked up, like there wasn't much, like he hadn't maybe not really been interviewed before. So I haven't listened to it yet myself, but if anyone loves guidebooks from that era, definitely look up the Still Loading podcast and listen to the latest one, because he told me he was pretty thrilled with how the interview went. Anyway, I wanted to point out, like,
full of magazines from that era or anything.
Oh yeah. Look how like this is not a screen space reflection here, right? Because you can see the back of Mario and Goombella in the wall behind me. It's like so subtle. It's like not a strong reflection.
It's in the compression on YouTube. It's a little hard to see, but I'm looking at it.
It's showing their backside, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
So, like,
honestly, I'm looking at it.
They're doing
point
all
blank range on a monitor.
They're doing all these tricks with like screen space and planar reflections. It's really subtle to the point where it's like almost like, was this really worth it? Like, is this what we sacrificed 60 FPS for? Like, what? I don't know though. I don't know. Like, it doesn't, the 30 FPS doesn't bother me that much. Although I'm really curious. I feel like I might have heard something like about how close it actually is if you like tried running this on like overclocked on a hacked Switch with like the frame rate cap removed. I don't know how close it actually is. Yeah, like the reflection, they do look really good. And Origami King was 30 FPS. I mean, I think the whole series outside of the original version of Thousand Year Door is 30 FPS anyway.
I'd be interested to see if the Switch hacking community has made a 60 FPS unlock for modded Switches.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, because it's not crazy to unlock most of these games, and then so you can then use overclocked switches to then brute force the frame rate. Like, I haven't messed around with mine in a while, but I've got a hacked and heavily overclocked Switch. It's great for stabilizing the frame rate in those games that just don't do it. But I haven't got into the unlocking of 30 FPS games
Right. I mean, fingers crossed we'll be able to tap into more performance for Switch 2, but I don't expect
If not, I'll let you borrow my Switch to play through the last Zelda game, because it's a little bit more tolerable on my modded Switch.
Well, hopefully. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's been interesting replaying this. Like, what I've found is I have remembered the middle section of the game the best. Like, the beginning, I didn't remember too well, and like whatever the heck is next, I don't really remember. So we are going to find out.
I'm going to take it back here for just a moment. You're talking about David Cassidy. Kyle McLean here in the chat says he worked at Electronics Boutique from 98 to 05. Prima Games was just down the road. David Cassidy came in all the time and even brought us all pizza on the Dreamcast launch.
Dude, that's awesome.
That is so cool.
Ooh, there's a few new things I can do down here. So this like underground part of the, I mean, this is, I don't know, depending on how you think about it, like this could be a positive or a flaw in like the sort of structure and pacing of this game. You do need to revisit this underground area several times to advance the story, but there are like new things you can do like each time. Like this is new. I'm not quite sure what this is. Oh, interesting. So I can oh, and I forgot, I've actually, before I do all this, I should probably level up my party members. I mean, something I didn't really appreciate the first time I play it, and it does seem pretty interesting to me now, that the game really seems like with its leveling up system, I don't remember if the first Paper Mario was quite this way, but you don't get anything at level up except for what you choose. You don't get any other general like stats up or anything. and you only get like extra HP for Mario, extra flower points, or extra badge points, which is what you need to equip badges. I found badge points to be the most interesting thing to up, but then it keeps your HP quite low.
Yeah, that's a heck of a trade-off.
But
in an RPG,
but
HP
you
is kinda
can
critical.
some of the badges are very powerful. And I kind of actually really appreciate like how small the numbers are that you're dealing with. Like, your attack power, defense power, your attack power, defense power, HP, enemy HP, like all that is really dealing with some pretty small numbers, to the point where like if an enemy has like defensive 4, like you might have a really hard time actually overcoming that if you've only got an attack up to 4. And so that's where some special items or some of the badges can really come into play to do that. So it feels like it can allow for like different play styles. Like I guess you could consider the badge heavy approach to be more like high risk, but also like if you think you know what you're doing, it pays off.
Some good badges, interesting builds at least, and you can change them out.
Yeah, well, and you can change the badges anytime. Like this guy actually sells for these star bits or whatever they're called. Sells some pretty interesting ones. I do think I want to save up for that last Power Plus. It's kind of cool because like I've already got like a Power Plus badge, and it's equipped. And if I level up and do badges 2 more, or I've got 2 equipped. I could actually, if I got 2 more level ups and did badges, I could equip a 3rd one of those. Oh wait, no, that's the partner. So my partners are actually stronger than me right now because I've got 2 Power Plus partner badges, which is kind of funny.
So Mario's just your tank.
Oh, actually, well, yeah, I've got, yeah. So I could probably unequip. It's actually a free equip badge to use the original soundtrack. Some of the remixes almost feel like a little too elaborate in some ways. But to be honest, like I never thought this game's soundtrack was that great. Like there's a few standout tunes. I do like this underground tune. The boss, I won't say the name of the boss that has the 4th star because figuring out the boss's name is kind of part of it.
Figuring out the name is part of the fight. That's an interesting take.
It's very interesting. Although even if you know it, you actually can't. You can't do it because the interface that you use to enter the name is actually missing a required key. So you get that key when you find out the name. So yeah, it's interesting.
That's
but anyway, I won't say,
different.
but that character's like boss theme always kind of stuck in my head. Like a few themes in this game, but most of them I didn't really remember all that well. So so yeah, I mean, but some of the remixes like almost seem a little overdone, but I think Origami King has the best soundtrack in the series by like a super long shot. And oh whoa, there haven't been Magic Koopas down here before. That's new. I actually kind of, I mean, replaying this, like it's really, really good. It's really, really good, but I really do think that Origami King might be my favorite, which is probably a controversial opinion.
Wow, yeah, it's like everybody always rants and raves about this game.
Yeah.
And they kind of meh Origami King.
I think, I mean, the soundtrack in Origami King is incredible. I love the origami enemy designs. The battle system, I can understand why it would be off-putting at first, but once you get used to it, and once you also like don't, like early on the game it's really easy, but the battle system gets quite difficult later on. And once you just like accept that the primary purpose of your money is to use the help system during battle, like it makes a big difference during some of those more challenging moments. Is this the part where
The battle system looks interesting. I have not played it yet. Like Paper Mario is not something I have. Like I've only played the first game. I haven't played anything else in the series.
I mean, they're certainly not connected by story.
Okay, that's good to know. Like,
this is definitely like if you want to play one that's a pretty straightforward RPG. Spike shield. Oh, jump on spiky foes without being countered. Oh, that's interesting. How much does that take to equip? 3. I don't want to unequip enough stuff to do that, but that's pretty interesting. I could definitely equip that with one more thing. But yeah, like this is the one to play if you want something that's like pretty normal in terms of RPG-ness. Okay. Origami King is pretty normal in terms of RPG-ness, but the main thing is that you the main thing is that you have to like kind of solve a puzzle to like the enemies are like on this like spinning like puzzle board, and you need to like line them up in specific configurations to like do optimal damage. So it's kind of weird, but I got really into it.
Yeah, I like what I've seen of the battle system when I watched the DF's video on it when it came out. So I watched pretty much all of their content, even if it's not something I'm playing anytime soon. And it looked interesting. I just haven't made it around to it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm always I've been hesitant on some stuff when it comes lately. Like it's been weird trying to latch on to certain games. So I should give that a shot. I've got it loaded up. Yeah, I've had a hard time trying to get into most stuff and stay with it. Bounced off a lot.
I mean, if you haven't played the original Mario RPG, I mean that's almost over before you know it.
Oh yeah, no, I played through that and the remake. Oh yeah, I played through that multiple times as a kid, and then 96, 97 played through that a lot. And in the remake, I've got it. It's actually I've had a legitimate copy of the remake and beat it. This wasn't pirated, and beat it, and then resold the game all before it hit the market. I ran in. I got a copy from I don't know where they ended up. Not the same place I've mentioned before, where I tend to get stuff 2 to 3 days early. But I got something from somebody who showed up selling stuff on Reddit. That was on that here in Florida. And picked up the remake of RPG.
I didn't mean to go in there.
It was a full week early, and
wow.
I picked it up and powered through. And sometimes Switch games leak, and sometimes you can get them early from that. What's funny is when he posted about it, it wasn't even up online. I looked in the normal places you go to look for Switch leak stuff. It wasn't even posted yet. Funny thing is, by the time I got in my car and was on the way to go get him, it got posted at the same time to the to those types of sites during my drive. But I got the game because I was like, well, if nothing else, I'll dump the game. But I got the game, played through it, and what was nice is I didn't have to deal with those stutters other people were complaining about. Like those frame drops were definitely smoothed out mostly when you, as with everything on the Switch, it comes to the
it wasn't that bad overall, but
oh yeah, no, it's not unplayable. It doesn't impact play. It's because it's in the overworld and it's an RPG at that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
but
not.
Smoothing those out is still
too
nice.
extreme.
It's always RAM with the Switch. It's always the RAM speed. Luckily, Switch OLEDs use better RAM, and that is massively underclocked by Nintendo. And I ran a thing that lets you check to see what RAM you have, and I have the second fastest RAM that they used in an OLED. So I'm able to bump the clock speed up to almost double the factory speed, and the gains on it are spectacular. And RAM speed doesn't even have like a massive, very minimal impact on energy usage. So it doesn't have big heat ramifications. Doesn't have handheld power draw problems. Like it's free performance.
Wow. Yeah, so I've been really curious what this next area is because I can see it on the map, and it kind of looks like a bit of a westerny kind of area, and I have just no memory of it whatsoever. And I also can't remember, like, no one say in the chat, but I can't even remember, like, it looks like there's room for another party member, but I don't remember who they are. I saw Frank Boris asking what are my thoughts on Color Splash. So I actually, like, right after finishing Origami King, I was like, you know what, I'm going to play Color Splash. Like, I know it's going to be a lot less good. I know it's going to be a lot less good, but I'm just going to do it. And it was a lot better than Sticker Star for sure. The main thing with like Sticker Star and Color Splash is like you don't progress, like your character doesn't have like growth. And I thought it actually sounded really interesting, like reading about Sticker Star before it came out. Like you can you like get stickers, like as you fight, you get stickers through doing various things, and you use your stock of stickers to fight. Like your stickers are your actual attacks. Like you don't really advance. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, oh, like you just like kind of like pick up these things and use them as you go, and you know, to think about what to save and stuff like that. But it ended up just being like you almost always ended up in a worse situation after a battle than you went into it. Like you didn't get more stickers for your trouble.
The way my brain handles RPGs, I would never let me play Sticker Star. Like
No.
I'm familiar with how it plays, and I'm one of those like the memes online of like about RPGs. I should save this for when I need this. When I need this later in the game.
Yeah.
You can use this now, but what if I need it more later? And at the end of the game, it shows you 37 of those items. That's me in every RPG. That the last thing I want is being forced to use consumable items to play through random trash battles.
Yeah, it was really obnoxious. And then the boss fights, the boss fights like oftentimes required a specific item, or you just could not win. And they didn't give you any warning before going into that fight. Like you don't have the thing you need.
And it's consumable. Like you could have accidentally used it previously.
They're definitely special stickers, so I don't think you could accidentally waste it. But like they would just let you go into a boss fight without any acknowledgement that you just don't have the thing you need to do this. Like, don't do this right now. Like, it's really obnoxious. I like the idea behind it, and Color Splash does a better version of that. Oh, what is this? Oh, it sounds like I need to do something to level up my allies again. I should have paid more attention to what he said. What did he say? Mouse of the dragon that flew through the air, beyond the reversible stair, near the empty black chest, lies a clue to help your allies. Oh, okay. Well, before I go to the next area, then I should probably do that. But anyway, yeah, Color Splash was like a... It's really surprising they stuck with the same gameplay for Color Splash because, like, no one liked Sticker Star. But it was a acceptable version of what Sticker Star tried to be. So it was okay. I didn't hate playing it, but Origami King was so much better. Like without a doubt, like the top 3 Mario RPGs for me are the original, Thousand Year Door, and Origami King. Like without a doubt. Like I don't really like the Mario and Luigi series very much. I kind of feel like they relied too much on just like, you know, stop, blah, 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 blah. Move forward 2 steps, blah, 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 blah. Oh, here's this puzzle. And then the blah, 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 blah tells you exactly what to do.
Way too much dialogue for a portable RPG.
I mean, not even just for a portable RPG, but it was just the pace of the game was just constantly broken up by talking. You know, nothing wrong with that. You know, we're not having a lot of talking, but the pace of the game was, you know, in that way that Nintendo games were very guilty of doing at the time. You know, your Zeldas everything. And stuff where they just really didn't trust you to remember how to do things. Sword. Yep, and they just want to constantly remind you like how to do things.
This is what a rupee is.
Yeah, and so yeah, they you know, I didn't care for is there anything new I can get over here? I can go over there with the Yoshi. So this Yoshi, I'm curious if, on the box his color is different. I'm guessing it might be randomized. I don't remember. I barely remember this Yoshi character. But yeah, I wonder if I'm sure the color must be randomized to some extent. I can't remember what he was like in my original run. Of course, I still have the save. But anyway, yeah, it was very much just like I felt like they just didn't trust the player, and just like everything that could have been interesting gameplay wise, they just spoil it for you.
Random tidbit from chat here pointed out from PokePress and Sweden the Hedgehog is both that Yoshi's color changes depending on how much time it takes you between getting the egg and him hatching.
Oh, interesting. So did I do bad or good by getting this color of Yoshi?
I'm sure the internet can, let's see, 1,000 Year Door Yoshi color. Let's see what they say about the hatch.
One problem I do have with some of these earlier Paper Mario games, I don't remember if the first one was like this so much, but like what I really didn't like about Super Paper Mario was that it always did this thing, you know, there's a lot of back and forth, and you kind of have to go to the same area a bunch of times, and sometimes it like feels like they're almost doing it jokingly, like, ha ha ha, look at this ridiculous thing we're making you do. It's like, okay, I get the joke you're trying to make, but it doesn't make it fun. And there can be like a lot of like sort of tedious things where they just kind of, they just make you do it for whatever reason. And okay, so this was something about the reversible stair.
And that's more platforming based than RPG, if I remember the
Super Paper
discussion,
Mario.
right? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And I kept meaning to play that because obviously I love Mario platformers, but I don't hear it talked about in terms of this is the new 2D Mario platformer. Like I don't hear it discussed in that.
And it's not. And that's that. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like about Super Paper Mario. Kind of my main beefs with it are that it's neither good enough as an RPG or as a platformer, in my opinion. It's kind of like it other than like, this game has like the Z-axis movement. Like, so imagine this game, except it's got the, it's just a 2D plane. Well, you see how Mario runs and jumps in this. Like, it's not really platformer mechanics, and so it doesn't feel satisfying to play as a platformer, and the RPG-ness is way toned down. So yeah, it just, I don't know, it doesn't I don't think it does that much for me in those regards. But the other thing is like it just, I remember it doing a lot of things where it was like here's this like super ridiculous thing, like relatively early in the game, in like the first couple of chapters, I think you have to like run on this treadmill like for this like ridiculously long period of time, to the point where you're like, okay, there's no way they actually want me to do this as long as they're making me do it. Like, this can't be right. It's got to be something else. And then so you like wander around looking for like, okay, what do I really have to do? And it turns out, no, what you really had to do was just run on that treadmill for an obscenely long period of time. It's like, really?
It's yeah, it doesn't sound like they did a great
It's like,
job of
okay, that's funny, but it's not fun. Oh, I guess I could have just gone through that with the... Okay, here's the black chest. What did it say about the black chest? I should have paid more attention to this hint. Is there some other... Oh, here we go. I knew it would be something for one of my newer party members. There we go. So, I don't know if anyone remembers the Mario is Missing soundtrack, specifically the NES one. I've only played the NES one. I don't know if the music in the Super Nintendo version is different.
I played the game. I don't remember anything about the music because it's been 25 to 30 years ago.
There's like one track in that game that's always kind of stood out to me. And for some reason, a few notes of this castle music make me think of a track in that game that was like do 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 do. And there's a little bit of that in this castle music.
Yeah, I tend not to remember too many of the game soundtracks from when I was a kid, especially. Like, that's not something. There's a few of them that are always, in my brain. The big ones, like the stuff I played on and off.
Yeah.
Like every Mario game, and then of course that soundtrack right there.
Yeah,
is always
Link's
embedded in
Awakening.
my
Who
brain.
could forget?
It's a giant. You can't tell. That's like 40 inches by 30 inches on the wall. That's a giant piece of like 4 layers of perler beads. That's like a custom made piece I had made. Oh, it is an awesome piece that somebody made. It was a local artist made. That I commissioned a few years back. Each one of those objects is its own layer, like it's 3D, But that most of them, yeah. So I don't really remember. Only what's weird is while I didn't remember the soundtrack, the one thing I did remember is while I had no idea what I was doing back then, I had Ease 3 or Wise as I always referred to at the time on SNES, and I just remember that game. Like I had no idea what to do with this game. This game is ridiculous. It's to me it was terrible because I couldn't figure out what to do as a kid. Because I was playing this at like 6 or 7. No 6 or 7-year-old has any idea what's going on with an East game. Let's be real. But I just remember it had some like amazing music that still like. And then once I obviously found you guys, the Discord, like when I joined up 5 years ago, whatever, and then everybody and realized everybody there is absolutely Ease obsessed. And because of the music being a big part of it, I'm like, oh, now I get like why I thought this game had such amazing music, even though I can't really recall it until I listened back through. Like, okay, at least that's why it stuck with me, because these games make some pretty solid music.
Speaking of Link's Awakening, in Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, you've got the evil bat guy that like curses you with more junk to carry around, right?
Yeah.
What's funny is this game kind of has the same joke where that like black treasure chest that was like kind of my hint for where to find this item. When you unlock those black treasure chests, they go, "You fool!" and they're now I will curse you. It's like this like critical ability for like progressing. Like you saw me do that paper airplane. You saw me do the boat. I can also do this where I can like turn this way and like squeeze through certain narrow things. That's like, how embarrassing for you.
How embarrassing for you to have these extra abilities.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that idea of this evil thing. I'm going to curse you with this ability to do awesome stuff. Yeah. All right, cool.
There's got to be like a page on TV tropes for whatever they call that. Like I can't think of anything that does it outside of this game and Link's Awakening and A Link to the Past. But
yeah, I'm sure
there's got to be more of that. So the item isn't actually what he needed. It was just helped him find something he already had. All right, I can do rank 2 now. To be honest, I tend to just use Goombella and Koops the most. Their attacks are really straightforward to execute and just generally very useful in most encounters.
Shazubi? Like,
yeah.
Care to power some more?
I mean, honestly, I think the writing in the Paper Mario games is better than the Mario and Luigi games. I think a lot of people might think that the Mario and Luigi games are funnier, but I feel I get very tired of their writing over the course of the game. I stopped after Bowser's Inside Story because Bowser's Inside Story was good, but it's still just like I just didn't really like the pacing, the way the dialogue broke everything up. Like I didn't like the way those games flowed up to that point. And I'm like, okay, Bowser's Inside Story, really good scenario, but like I just don't see how this like formula can be better than this. So it felt like a good one for me to just stop that series on. I'm kind of curious to try the new one, especially if it runs more stably on Switch 2. I might give the new one a try, but for the most part, I feel pretty done with Mario and Luigi. But hey, Paper Mario had a real dark time there and really turned it around with Origami King. So we'll
eventually I'll get to give that a shot. Maybe after when I get bored with what I'm messing with right now, maybe I'll remember to boot that up and give it a shot. Since I finished the 2 games I was playing, so I usually playing 2 at a time for something heavier and something more casual. I finished about the same time. Finished the last pair of games I was playing. Which was Ease 10 and Mini Shoot Adventure, which was amazing.
Oh yeah, I want to play that.
Yes, that game is very much worth your time, and I think it's PC only for now still, but it's made for controller play, and you can play it on a potato. So, it's twin stick Zelda 1, and it is awesome. Twin stick shooter Zelda 1 works so well, but since then I've had a hard time having the desire to pick something, and then what I have stuff I've tried to had a hard time sticking with till they updated Cyberpunk for PC for the 50 series when the 50 series launched.
Right.
But they updated the whole model.
DF benchmarks, I think.
Yeah, but they updated it, and the updates are also useful on previous RTX cards for how it does temporal scaling, the DLSS and 2.0 stuff. It was updated significantly, so I wanted to see how that looked, and I kind of got oh, okay. I've tried Cyberpunk twice before. I bought it on release for PC. I bought a quote physical copy of it. It's key in a box, but with a whole bunch of extra stuff. Because I actually bought it cheaper, but I pre-ordered that cheaper than buying it straight from Steam. And so I've had it since launch when it was terrible state. And I've tried it a number of times and never got into it. And it finally kind of hooked me, and I'm actually having fun with it. And mainly because I actually, as with some RPGs, I tend to have more fun when I cheat with the RPGs. I opened a trainer to kind of make a few little tweaks real quick. Nothing extremely game breaking, but enough things to not have to worry about some of this overly complex subsystems and really crazy item management and stuff. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. So I'm not sure I'll see through how an insanely long game that it is, but actually finally hooked into that for now.
I saw Sweden the Hedgehog in the chat here, and I'm unsure. I don't think this was the username before, so it might be a totally different person. But I remember at some point we had in the chat room the voice of Sonic from the guy who does the voice of Sonic for the Swedish dub of the Sonic live action movies was in our chat once, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't know if that's you or unrelated.
I forgot about that, so I didn't make that connection with this guy's username. Yeah.
I was skeptical, but I asked Audie, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's him. He's legit. He's a nice guy."
And even so, that seems
Audie
way
would
too
know.
specific. That it's such a specific thing that I have a hard time thinking somebody would lie about that. It's just too pinpoint specific and off the wall to even come
make
up
up.
with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Unfortunately, that's not.
Nope, that's not me.
Not Sweden the Hedgehog here. Well, if you look up the Swedish dub of the Sonic movies, then maybe you can go to some convention in Sweden and meet him. Say, hey, my username is Sweden the Hedgehog, not named after you.
Mr. Dots was talking about like saying the Twin Stick Zelda 1 sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
As well. It is. It is like I
looks
never heard of it. Of course, as with everything, the end of the year videos, not that you guys do and DF does, I end up like, well, there's a whole bunch of more money I didn't need to spend, and it happened as normal. And Mini Shoot Adventure from John's video was by far the most interesting thing I saw, I think. And I was like, I immediately bought that and started playing it because it was on sale pretty cheap. It was on sale for a few bucks off because it was the Christmas, the holiday season sale. Bought that, and that game, not super long, but it was just the right length. Like, you're 12, it's 8, 10, 12-hour game somewhere in there. I think it's like 5 dungeons. I think it was 4 main dungeons and then a final area. It's so smooth. Like the game, the controls feel so good, which is a big thing for me for the movement and controls. Like that's something is a big thing for me in games. It was so much fun, and the upgrade system's really nice. I like you can just grind it out like an RPG to get some upgrades if you want to overpower your character. And then I bought the other game that both John and Coury were pushing just last night, Devil Blade Reboot.
Oh yeah.
I'm not much of a shmup person, and I know CGQ Coury can come and get me for calling it a shmup, but dang it, I'm going to call it a shmup. I'm not good at all. I heard like, oh, this is an easy shmup everybody's talking about. I'm still getting my butt kicked. After many playthroughs last night, I made it, I think, to the beginning of the fourth, made it into the fourth level.
Here's a good example of Paper Mario's sense of humor that's also like, okay, it's funny, but it's also wasting my time.
Holy crap.
She told him he had to say I love you 100 times, and I have to actually sit through it. Although that's not that bad compared to some of the stuff Super Paper Mario pulled, but
finally playing that last night. That game, it's all sprite work, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, that did seem a little bit unnecessary. to have to go through that 80 times or whatever it was.
See, most games would have just like
spam the text really quick.
Or like it would have just like they would have given you control and you could walk away and they'd have like the word bubble appear, right above them or something.
Maybe just have a scrolling text line up the screen just to do it really quick to make a point, but still. To have to sit there and watch the counter go up was a bit excessive. Was it automatic, or were you having to hit A on each one?
I had to mash A, yeah.
Oh my god!
But at least like the text appeared immediately, so I didn't have to like wait for it to like draw in constantly.
Right.
I've been
informed by Zane's dad. They're STGs, not shmups.
Shooting game. Shooting game.
I'm thinking STG.
Shooting game. I'm not here. I don't know where this is going to be.
It's actually called Shmup 'em Up. Thank you, kitty ears.
Shmup 'em Up.
Shmup 'em Up. There, I'm going to adopt that.
We were. Oh, there it is. we were so something came up on the backloggery stream, I think last week, and something that, well, we've been debating about the definition of platformers lately, and I said something to the effect of well, how did it go? Something came up, and I don't remember how it got started, but someone said something like, someone said, I want you to start calling, like, completely without context in MLiG videos. I want you to just start calling platformers hop 'em ups.
Hop 'em up.
Hop 'em ups.
That should be a category for jumping flash. Wasn't that the rabbit game on PS1? Wasn't Jumping Flash like a rabbit character? Like a robot rabbit or something?
Yes.
That would be a hop 'em up.
That would be a hop 'em up.
Or wait, Chubbins.
I mean, I feel like a hop 'em up would have to be a platformer specifically where jumping on the enemies causes damage, though. Because it's like, if you're replacing shoot 'em up, like shoot is what you do to the enemy. So
right.
I feel like it has to be like a hop 'em up has to be Mario, Sonic, Donkey Kong Country. Like Kirby couldn't be a hop 'em up because he can't jump on enemies.
Because they dad said Super Bunny Man, hop 'em up. Yeah.
Super Bunny Man is definitely some hopping 'em up.
Or we got what was that game? Kaze, the something.
Oh yeah, that game's great.
Oh my god, that game was so good.
I see Tenchi Ruya saying, I don't know why they remade Thousand Year Door instead of the original. That game needed a remake more. Yeah, but I mean, I was kind of thinking about that earlier, and like Henry was saying, like you kind of bounced off the first one several times, and I would have liked for them to have done both. I mean, honestly, considering that they couldn't do this one at 60 frames per second, and the original was 60 frames per second, which kind of created a point of contention. I better check whether I can use that shortcut or if I need. Maybe I should just use the boat anyway, because I wasn't sure if I might need to actually take the boat for them to go back. I'll do that just to be safe. But anyway, oh yeah, here they are. Yeah, this is probably better to take the boat. Anyway, I think the original is good. Like, it would have made more sense to if they remade the original with like this style of graphics and it was only 30 FPS, like no one would bat an eye, because the original, I mean, Origami, every other Paper Mario, including Origami King on the Switch, has been 30 FPS. The original was 30 or maybe 20. I don't know. It certainly wasn't 60. And I think it would have been more palatable. However, I just don't think there would have been comparatively as much interest, just because like the original game just has a really boring scenario. Like, it's just Bowser kidnaps Peach. It's fine, but it kind of just feels phoned in. Whereas this, like, it takes place in, this, the hub is this dingy, dangerous pirate town, and you go to all sorts of other dangerous places. I mean, you climb the ranks as a pro wrestler. I mean, not really a wrestler, but like a fighter, but it's very wrestling like. By the way, what they should do for the next Paper Mario game is just do all of the stories that Luigi tells. Like Luigi is going on an adventure parallel to Mario here, and like he recounts like all of these like ridiculous things that he does over the course of the game. It's like you get the sense that he's not quite telling the full truth, and there's usually like an ally character following him around who's like, okay, like this guy owes me money and I'm not leaving his side until he pays me back for what he destroyed. That's what they should do for the next game. But yeah, like this game just like it has enough interesting stuff going on to give it its own identity that makes it worth remaking just as it is with, you know, whereas the original Paper Mario is just like, that's not a story that needs to be retold. I mean, the game is good, but there's just no reason to revisit the scenario of that game. Whereas this game's just much more interesting. I mean, look, I'm dealing with like Pianta mob bosses in this. like, okay, that's bizarre. Like, you don't have anything quite that wild going on in the original Paper Mario. Like, this is one of the more like daring Mario games in a lot of ways. Like, so like just prior to the stream, like after you collect each star, there's like a little interlude where you play as Peach and then you play as Bowser. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you don't even play as Bowser. It's just like a little goofy story thing. Like Bowser is just like very much in the background of this game. Doesn't do anything of note. Like it's just kind of like a little silly side story going on in the background. But anyway, like the prior Peach segment, like she does like a stealth thing to like get some secret data from the main villain. And she has to do it by drinking a invisibility potion, and she drinks it, but like just her skin is invisible, like her clothes are still visible. So she's like, oops, I gotta take this off. So you like literally sneak around the enemy base as an invisible naked Peach.
That's awfully ballsy for Nintendo.
Like this game, like it goes places you would never imagine. So
that's interesting.
I mean, I think that's why the game got a remake, because it's just got all of these wild oddball scenarios that's like
I didn't expect that's for sure.
Yeah. Invisible Naked Peach sounds like a band album name.
It definitely sounds like something from the grunge era, the 90s grunge. That would definitely fit that.
Yeah, Swing the Hedgehog says that seems quite wild, almost to the point that I don't think they do it today, which I think is one reason a lot of people were surprised they remade this game as much as people wanted them to bring it back, because there's that whole thing where I don't really know how firm of a rule this was, but you know, there's all of these weird characters and like newly created like creatures and things like that in like the first two Paper Mario games and Super Paper Mario. And I think it was in like an Iwata Asks for Sticker Star, where like one of the people said like, oh, Miyamoto said something like, hey, can we just do this with like characters and types of enemies that already exist in the Mario universe? Like, let's not create new types of characters for this. And, you know, they actually made it so that they actually made it so that like there's no longer like visibly different like male and female toads. Like they're all just the generic toad with different colors, sometimes wearing like some clothing that might like reflect their job or something. But anyway, like so people were really resentful of Miyamoto for a while because of that, because some of the weird stuff that you got in these games wasn't in Sticker Star, Color Splash, Origami King. So people were surprised because people saw this as like this mandate of like Miyamoto saying, you know, you can't do anything new with Mario. Yeah, and Jasmine says the Mario RPG that was why, I mean, that was announced before this was. I was shocked because that game is so off-brand. So off-brand, and for it to have been remade so faithfully. Absolutely shocking. So anyway, like it's really cool to see this game and Mario RPG get remade because they are so distinctive and among, you know, not just Mario RPGs, but, you know, Mario games in general. So it'll be interesting to see if the next Paper Mario can follow something that's a little more like this. Maybe this was kind of an experiment to like get permission to go a little more wild again.
Right. It would be nice to see them in general. They've loosened up with the Switch in general. You know, if not to go too deep into specifics, I'm sure we're all familiar with some of the things that are on the eShop and some of the content versus what we all know of Nintendo's ultra conservative views on ideas of gaming in the past, where, you know, the amount of stuff that they censored or didn't allow in the 80s and 90s versus on the eShops. Mind you, a lot of it's shovelware, but the subject of a lot of the stuff that's on there now, they maybe they've seemingly, you know, eased up in the post Iwata era.
Yeah, and I see Sweet the Hedgehog say, yeah, that Miyamoto quote is contested nowadays. Yeah, I've really wondered if it's really, and if that was really like an ongoing mandate, or I don't know. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think they came up with some. I think they came up with some really clever ways to. I mean, I think limitations are very often a boon to creativity, right? So,
Yeah.
I think they came up with a lot of clever stuff in spite of that altered approach.
Yeah. That's
So
definitely
yeah, man, look at these reflections though. Like I really have no idea how expensive that is, but like they have these reflections all over the place, like to just an extreme degree. It's like it's so unnecessary, but it looks so good.
It's sad how much of it's crushed in YouTube, because I'm staring at it up close to a 32-inch monitor, and I can see them, but they're not exactly the most clear thing.
Well, and they aren't super clear, which is like part of why it's almost like, yeah, why did they even like waste their processing power on this?
Something to do, maybe some way that they've pre-baked projection of the, I don't know what the right term would be, the not sprite per se, but bright, for lack of a better term. I don't know what to call it on a modern game where it's
But
not.
by the way, notice how I don't think Origami King does this. But notice how like it's more noticeable in cutscenes, like when they zoom in a little closer on a character like this. But they're actually like layered, and they're like they have like 3D depth to them. Like they aren't just totally flat. Like you can kind of see like the edge of the paper cutout, and you see how like her hat is like layered on top, and her glove is on top, and like her arm like tucks under her hair a little bit, and like you can see shadows and stuff. Like
the face is popped off of the body as well.
Yeah,
just slightly.
It's really subtle, The way that Peach's hair is layered looks really impressive too. It's so they're actually doing like a lot of stuff.
The guy in the background, you can see his coat. Like, look at the layers of the coat over his skirt, and over the skirt over then the shoes or the feet. The layers are really creatively done.
Yeah,
but that gives it that true paper feel.
And look how rounded everything is, even though like they're polygons, like they're not just. So they actually do a lot of surprisingly complex stuff with this game.
Mr. Dodds wants to see you play this with the M Classic.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I was actually going to test this game with the M Classic, but
you don't want to torture yourself some more?
No. Well, I mean, I was going to use it. When I was working on the video, I was going to do it. But it was still sealed, so I was like, eh. So one funny thing I was going to do in that video that I ended up not doing, but just because like the comparison wasn't as directly comparable as I had hoped it might be. But way back, I think it was 2018, we did an April Fool's stream of
Xbox
of getting the worst picture from Xbox with Sneak King, and I ran through all these like VCRs and unnecessary converters and stuff to just like really junk up the image, and it was like low contrast because like the black level was really raised, the white level was reduced, but the saturation was really blown out. And I was like, oh, this is just like mode 3 on this M Classic Switch. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to make the comparison to that and then Sneak King on the Xbox 360 because, Xbox 360, very similar to the intent of upscaling Switch games, right? I thought it was a fair comparison. But like they're going in the same direction, but they weren't actually that similar. So I didn't think it worked as a comparison. So I cut that section out, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Like there's room for interpretation, like in the middle of a picture, as far as I'm concerned. I'm actually not that picky. Like, I've got the monitors I edit video on. They aren't amazing. They were bought more for the price than the features. I wanted, a 1440p monitor, for this size at this price. And, the left and right monitor, the color's a little different between them, like I'm not that picky. I'm not that picky. I think there's room in the middle of the image and color tone for interpretation and personal preference. But the thing that gets me about these new M Classics is like I feel it is just a hard rule. You don't tamper with black and you don't tamper with white. Like those should be what they should be. Like what it does in the middle is negotiable. But like every single new mode either raises the black level, reduces the white level, or clips the white level, or clips the black detail. And it's just like, holy smokes. Like no one with any sense of like video. I mean, I'm not like the be all end all expert by any means, but that just seems like messing with black and white. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't get rid of detail on those ends.
As I think I said, I said to you when we were messaging before the video came out, I really think they were aiming to recreate the look of some crap CRT they had sitting around, some beat up Sylvania with 100,000 hours of usage on it over a composite cable that had been like frayed and chewed on by the cat, hooking up a Sega Genesis specifically, because we all know, Genesis had absolutely garbage composite video from the factory. Like all those things
colors
combined
could still look good on a good CRT,
Yeah, but I think that's what they were. I feel like that's what they were using for their reference point and trying to create it. Like, what can what can this look like? A Genesis over composite on the cheapest TV you could buy from, maybe even it's not even 1978 TV, like, and that they found for free and were playing in 1991 or something. It felt like that's what they were aiming at creating with their color and black level recreation.
Man, look at that shiny, shiny table.
And once again, with those insane reflections.
It's
like the table. Oh my God, this. Obviously, I'm looking at the stream, so I'm behind when you said that.
Yeah, but
So I'm a
like,
few
it's just
seconds
like,
behind.
it just feels like so much processing is used up on this, surely.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, but, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of worth it.
They did some significant work. Like, that is by far the best looking reflections on the entire platform.
I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 has some pretty good reflections too. I think both that game and this game benefit from, kind of this diorama sort of presentation, right?
Yeah, I do contend that is probably the single best looking game on the entire Switch is Luigi's Mansion 3.
It is real good looking.
It is an amazing game from it's a good game overall. It's an amazing game from the technical capabilities.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really good game. I still haven't gotten Luigi's Mansion
your viewpoint.
2. Oh, look, check this guy out.
I have it and haven't played it yet. I did buy it, but I have not got around to loading it up. Oh, that's not familiar with a big toad like that. That's.
His name is Hefty.
Oh my God! Of course it is.
Yeah. I always like to have Goombella out for exploring, because she gives you extra information about the NPCs.
I guess if he's gonna be a chef, you don't trust a skinny chef. That's for sure. He's the gourmet toad. Curious, do toads eat mushrooms?
I mean, there's always the endless debate of is it their hat or is it part of their head?
Always depends on some of the games that didn't it at some point.
There was an episode of at least one episode of the cartoon, the I think it was the original Super Show, where like Toad like takes his hat, takes the top off, and like cries into it.
Yeah, I think we'll have a hard time calling the cartoon canon, though.
Yes.
As much, and that's probably why they made those supposed Miyamoto things with this game to begin with, or the games after this. Like, they don't want there to be such thing as Mario canon. They want to play around with stuff. They already hate us enough for having a canon, thinking that Zelda needs a canon timeline. Somebody, Tyler Grice says, just played Luigi's Mansion 3 downscaled on OSSC Pro on my good old medical PVM.
Oh, dang.
Today. Looks incredible in 480i.
Whoa.
Nice. I should try. I think I've had weird results when trying to, because I've got a 20L5 and my Switch is running into a transcoder. I think I've had some weird stuff trying to play my Switch on the 20L5, if I remember. I need to try messing with that. I'm sure that would look pretty decent, other than, letterboxing like crazy. On a 20-inch screen, suddenly 16 by 9 image gets pretty small, pretty fast.
Something I want to try. I think you would need to use a custom mode line to do this, but I know that I've still never done it for 24 hertz content either, but I'd be curious to try it with like a stable 30 FPS game like this. Like I don't know if it would look good or not, but I'm pretty sure you can do things like set the Retrode to output like 90 hertz and like have like black frame insertion like work on like every third frame, like output 90 hertz like as VRR.
It can definitely do 90 hertz. I'm not sure about the third frame BFI. That'd be an interesting question.
Because I think that I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that people have used BFI with like 24 times 3, whatever that is.
72.
I think people have done that, or maybe it could have also been 24 times 4. I forget, but people have done BFI.
Okay.
With that in a VRR container, to give it a more like film projector like look. And I've never actually tried that. And I was actually thinking like while I'm playing this game, I should try. I'm actually using the Retrode right now, not on the capture, but I've actually got just like a.
Yep, I use it on my Switch too. My
like
Switch
just it's just, but right now I just have like a CRT, like a very dense CRT mask on, and like did a cubic interpolation for vertical and horizontal, and it doesn't really get rid of the aliasing, but it makes it look, I would say, minimally better than just raw.
It's
not a significant improvement, but I just did it because I was just messing around.
Right. I've just done straight scaling with mine, so I can, not have the TV have to do the scaling. See, I haven't done that, but I did try the CRT beam because I've got the Retrode 4K, obviously, and the monitor I'm using right now on my work setup where I am right now to stream this I'm using a 4K 240 hertz monitor. Luckily, I get lots of I get lots of different stuff from Dell with some extra credit that we get from computer purchases, and so I've got Dell's OLED 4K 240 monitor, and I hooked my Retrode up to it to do 1080p 240 hertz on the experimental firmware from the Retrode, and did the rolling beam CRT beam 240 hertz on it. It was quite impressive motion. I'll give it that.
I would be, if this was on Switch 2, I would be absolutely convinced that's ray tracing. It just looks so good, doesn't it?
It looks really good. And the stuff from the front isn't too hard to do in screen space, I would think. But even that's expensive. But yeah, when
just the fact that so many multiple surfaces are getting the effect at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Of course, they could be doing planar reflections to some extent too, where they wouldn't need to use like the more complex, like layered versions of the models and stuff. It's just, I don't know. I gotta admit, it looks good. I'd have
to pixel peep to get a little closer, put it on the big screen, and then kind of get up close, see what detail I could pull out of it, or maybe throw in an emulator.
It looks good enough that it doesn't especially bother me that it's
oh yeah, no, it's
30 FPS, because I mean it's consistent with Origami King. So
yeah, I'm never playing the original 1000 Year Door, even though everybody knows that I'm in the Discord, at least. very much not a big 30 FPS fan. That's
Yes.
a sticking point for me. But I'll see, see if. But then again, also I'll see if I can get the frame rate unlocked and working overclocked on my hacked Switch. I'm really excited to see if they do get us better performance on the Switch 2.
Or if they'll do any like native patches or frame rate unlocking patches or anything like that.
Right. Yes. I want to compare to see Switch 2 performance versus a heavily overclocked Switch 1. And I'm hopeful that the rumors come true that they at least the speculation that the Switch 2 chipset is likely close enough to the Switch 1. That's why they've gone after so heavily after the emulators in recent time. The emulator developers specifically, they're targeting these guys that have the capability because they think there's maybe close enough technology. So maybe we get an exploit, a relatively soon exploited Switch 2, and we can start this process all over again with extracting the power that Nintendo locks off in terms of saving battery life for the people who could not care less about battery life. I just want, gaming go burr. I don't give a crap about battery life. I want performance. And that's why I have, stupid level PC hooked up to my entertainment center because I want gaming go burr.
I mean, I play, the vast majority of Switch in docked mode, so.
Yeah. I just like squeezing that last little bit, especially when things don't run perfectly. I want to make stuff smooth. God, I hope Nintendo figures out, because it looks like there's going to be an HDMI 2.1 chipset in there. I'm hoping they actively utilize that, and some developers give us 40 FPS games. And while I am very much not a 30 FPS player for a lot of stuff, 40, that sweet 25 millisecond frame time on 40 is perfectly acceptable in 95% of games for me. Like I have never had a problem with 40 FPS. On anything third person. Like I actually enjoy those modes, so I'm really hoping for that. That's how I played through like all of Spider-Man 2 was 40 FPS, so I could have all the ray tracing goodies and all that.
I have the hardest time imagining actual Nintendo going for 40 FPS, but like, man, I really don't know if they're going to allow. I mean, because let's be honest, like managing 120 hertz on the consoles at least is a big pain in the butt as it is, and I kind of feel like Nintendo's just going to be like it's too confusing for the average person to deal with that. They might not have the right HDMI cable, and I am very skeptical.
I understand all the follies. I sadly understand all the follies. Not everybody's in the position that I am and is willing to spend an insane amount of time and effort making complex setups. But I'm hopeful. But I know that likely won't be the case. I know Nintendo wouldn't probably make 40 FPS modes, even if they do support 120 hertz mode. But that doesn't stop other developers from doing it. Because if you can enable 120 hertz mode, assuming you can lock to 40, you don't even need VRR at that point. You can just run 40 to run in multiples, because it's a solid, 40 is a solid, factor of 120. So I'm hopeful. I don't necessarily think it'll happen, but I'm trying to have positive thoughts and hope it'll happen, because that's what I really want to see.
Yeah, it's just I currently peg Switch 2 having 120 hertz support at like 25% chance. At best, I feel.
Yeah, I'm just hoping. Just me hoping for a world where we can slowly abolish 30 FPS It's slowly for 40. At least people who have the capability.
Yeah.
At least we move toward that. To maybe the next generation, 30 can be even less likely.
Yeah. The sad thing about 40 FPS modes, and I've yet to play all the way through a game with 40 FPS, although I'm certainly interested in doing so at some point. But the part of the problem is you're just that's never going to be captured or displayed in a YouTube video or a stream looking particularly smooth.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
it's not great for content creation, but like I did with the God of War Ragnarok, I did play that in the unlocked mode that runs at like mostly like 80 to 90 FPS.
Same.
And I thought it was pretty neat. Oh, something going on here.
Yeah, that's how I
thought it was pretty neat, and some of the footage wasn't the best, but I bet almost nobody cared, and even fewer people would have even noticed that it wasn't smooth if I didn't mention like, oh hey, I played in this mode. This is why it's not perfectly smooth.
The average person is not going to notice or care. Like,
not like
on that
not
YouTube
like
video is
YouTube
unevenly paced.
Yeah, YouTube can't even do even frame pacing anyway. So
exactly. But I'll give it one thing. It in browsers never. And I am on my Nvidia Shield. It can be a little rocky too. I get pretty solid results on both my Apple TV and on iOS, on iOS platforms. I get really solid video performance, but that's it. On my Android devices, it can be a little iffy sometimes. On my computers, be it my Macs or my Windows machines, it can be a little iffy no matter if I'm running Chrome or if I'm running Firefox. Firefox is my primary. Like, something about, because Apple TV is iOS. There's something about probably just how the lockdown nature and how few devices over comparative can run it, so they can optimize it. It runs well on iOS. Runs better there than literally any other platform, including Google's own platform. But I think that has to do with, obviously, Android has to be flexible for thousands of different devices out there of varying speeds, and Apple, only has so many different levels of CPU out there. It's not even if you're just looking at power optimization. I guess between iOS, between iPads and iPhones and Apple TV, there's only so many CPUs to have to optimize for.
This next chapter, which I don't remember this at all. I don't remember this train stuff at all. That penguin detective looks maybe possibly ever so faintly familiar, but otherwise I'm not remembering this part of the game at all. But it's perhaps unfortunate I ended up at this part for the stream, because the previous chapter actually would have probably been a lot more easier to stream. This seems very very sort of story and mystery driven, whereas the previous chapter had a lot of combat.
It's a murdered one of those murder theater shows, basically.
Yeah.
What it feels like.
Well, I mean,
dinner theaters on a train.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very, it feels like every chapter is like, some sort of like anime or tokusatsu style plot. It's very episodic.
Okay. Yeah, allows them to have like strong themes in every area.
Yeah, every chapter
different little episodes.
Every chapter is quite different.
I think that varied gameplay, varied scenery. That's a good thing.
That was a very long no.
Zip Toad. The Zip Toad? No way! You Tweety geezer. The dialogue in this game is quite amusing. Tweety geezer? Geezer?
I do like the writing in Paper Mario.
Yeah, this is pretty entertaining dialogue for sure. Is that supposed to be? Are those blood stains on the ground? Is that what's going on?
I think it's I think it's dirty prints from whoever stole the food.
Oh, okay. Okay, because it looked like blood splattered. I'm like, that's not very Nintendo Mario like.
I mean, the central square in Rogueport has a noose and gallows, so
All right. Crap's getting serious in Mario's world.
it's spilled stew.
Spilled stew. Kaylee Gamer thought it was penguin poop.
I mean, you know. Oh, appears to end here. How suspicious.
Well, Kaylee Gamer also wants to know, how's them beaver nuggets?
They are very good. I don't have any anymore, though. They're long gone.
Food gets stolen, you blame me right away with it. It's not nice. Well, I know what it's like to be the fat guy who gets blamed because the food's missing. I know that feeling. I feel you hefty. Did Sandy eat them all? The beaver nuggets. Thick Toad ate all the beaver nuggets.
It was me. Well, that was a short-lived mystery.
It didn't have to work too hard to get him to spill the beans or the stew. I mean, I've never seen a stew that was so good that made me want to steal it. To
Yeah,
sneakily eat the rest.
stew is not like stew is like something, you know, I'll eat it, but it's not something. It's not something that's like, oh man, stew, right?
Now, if the plate of deviled eggs goes missing, you can probably blame me.
Coury too, apparently.
Yeah, I feel him on that. The deviled eggs goes missing. Yeah, I probably ate them all.
Deviled eggs are the kind of thing that I feel like I can only eat like a couple of at a time. Like I love them, but I feel like if I ate a whole serving of them or a whole fresh batch of them, I feel like I'd be like, ugh.
No, I could only eat a couple dozen of them. So, yeah, that's one of those foods I could never get too full on. I love those things. I don't eat them very often, mainly because I'm too lazy. Because making deviled eggs is a little bit of a pain in the butt. Because hard-boiled eggs, I hate shelling them. So. Yeah, Mr. Dumplings too. But yeah, deviled eggs. But stew, nah, I'm not gonna be the one to go steal the stew like Hefty Toad. Can't believe they named him Hefty. Jesus.
Oh, I should have enough star pieces to buy that other power-up badge I wanted. Which card did he say to go to? Was it 5 or 6? I think it was 6. You know, not liking eggs in general is something I both like, can and can't understand at the same time.
I eat eggs almost every day of my life.
Eggs are pretty darn good.
Scrambled eggs with ham and veggies for breakfast at least 5 days, you know, almost every work day.
I mean, if I go out, you know, for breakfast to a place that has omelets, as much as I like all the other, I love waffles, I love pancakes, I love sausage, bacon, all that stuff. But if they've got omelets, it's real hard for me to say no to an omelet. I love omelets.
I can tear up some omelets myself. Like, IHOP has shockingly good omelets. I don't know if you've ever been there for the omelets, but IHOP makes like reliably some of the best. If you just I need a dang omelet, you can find an IHOP around. Go.
Yeah, there's a little just local hole in the wall that I really like their omelets, but I actually went to my local IHOP for the first time ever, like a couple of months ago. And I was quite surprised that the menu was advertising Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Like they had a promotion going on for that. Like, I think it was
they do
like
some weird stuff.
It was like the week before that game came out.
Yeah. There's a local small place over here. I've lived here for so long and I've never tried it. You drive by and the sign out front says big ass omelets, but there's a little ET on the side so they can call it asset. Big asset omelets. But the tiny little ET on the sign.
Oh, okay.
I need it. I don't know why. I've never stopped in there. It's only like 6 or 7 minutes from my house.
I mean, it sounds like your kind of place.
Yeah. I need to check that out at some point. Mainly when I go out is I go out to eat for things I can't make easily enough on my own. And omelet's just a fancy scrambled egg, and I make scrambled eggs every day. So I don't go out too often for that. I go out for stuff that's more complex to make at home that I'm not willing to do at home, buy the equipment and all the prep to do.
Almost every chapter in this game has someone calling Mario by the wrong name for a significant portion of the episode.
I know all about the famous Luigi. What's Luigi so famous for? He at this point he hadn't owned any. No, I guess he did own one mansion. I guess I forgot. This was after the first mansion.
Yeah.
Oh no, I forgot. Big asset is pancakes, not omelets. When I just started searching for them, I thought it was omelets. When I started searching out, maybe I'm remembering the place wrong.
The stew is the most expensive thing on the dinner menu. Jeez,
That must be some
must be
crazy
some
stew.
Some stew. There's a couple of GBA references in this game, which is I assume is the same as the original. There's there's a kid in one town who's like, "Oh man, I've been playing this totally awesome game on my GBA lately. It's called Fire Emblem." And that I think this would have been around the same time that the first Fire Emblem that they just called Fire Emblem in the US did come out. So it's cool that they kept that in there. Oh, let's see. We got a 199 super chat from Fawn. Thank you. The game is fun. I'm glad to see you stream this. Well, thank you. Our RPGs aren't what we're used to. I love RPGs. RPGs are, one of my bread and butter genres, but we tend to shy away from streaming them. So,
Yeah, most of them, they're not always the most entertaining things to watch, the turn-based RPG, but Mario definitely a little bit of an outlier on that. It's always more entertaining dialogue and animations, and in this case, some crazy reflections considering this is a Switch. As I stare at was it Goombet down there? Animated reflections on the floor.
Oh yeah. She is Goombella.
Oh, Goombella. Goombet was out of the first game, wasn't it?
No, I think the character in the first game is a guy. It's Goombario. I think Goombet has got to be some character in some game, though. You're probably right.
I feel like that was he had a sister or something that before when you first set off. Let's see. Oh, that's a character. Goombet's out of Mario Odyssey is first thing that comes up when I search.
Oh, isn't there something about? I remember there was a thing where you had to like create like a Goomba tower that was like tall enough to get up to this like lady Goomba.
Yeah, it might be what this is because let's see. Pink, similar to Goombella and Goombaria, has Sphinx. Yep, to get the Marios must capture a Goomba and approach her. She's standing on a raised ledge. Mario must hop on other Goombas to make a Goomba tower high enough to reach the ledge she stands on.
Yeah,
At this
I remember
she
that.
Romantically charmed and gives Mario a power moon while surrounded by hearts. If Mario approaches her in his normal form or aims at her after capturing a Sherm, she will panic for a split second before disappearing in a puff of smoke. After Mario leaves the area or lets go of the Sherm, she will return with the same purple effect. There. Okay. Apparently you can scare her away. All the little details of the craziness in that Mario Odyssey has.
I don't quite know what the boy Babam said that he wanted something that starts with AU for his birthday. I don't remember if the original game had like the paper peeling back and peeling forward for like going in and out of like layers like this. Several people want help solving a mystery though. I mean, the only thing I know to check is the drawers beside the beds.
Sweden the Hedgehog says it's after 4 a.m. there. Oh my gosh. And he's hop him up to bed.
Hop him up to bed. An amazing stream. I don't know. That sounds like higher praise than is warranted, but thank you. And good night to Sweden.
That's dedication up 4 a.m. watching.
Oh,
watching
he
the
wants
stream.
an autograph. I see.
FT's a wild toad. He ate that stew with a fork and knife. He was not holding a spoon. Good point. That is dedication to a stew if you're eating it with a fork and knife. I guess pick the chunks and drink the broth, I guess.
I mean, he had the whole thing, so he could take care of it.
Enchilada says the pot was big enough. He just put his whole head in it. Yep. That would burn if it's hot.
But yeah, some people are good at streaming RPGs. I don't know how good we are at streaming RPGs. We've had a few. We did a few that we knew really well. Like I did Final Fantasy IV for a bit, and Coury did Chrono Trigger, where we had Chromo. What were all the names? Chromo.
I think I might have missed that.
Marm.
I remember, like, I missed that. I saw the memes afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, I missed a heck of a stream.
Luba. He had to like change the name by one. He had to change the name, like one letter had to be shifted one letter to the left or right. So that's how like Luca became Luba. Chromo and Chrono became Chromo.
Yeah, I remember seeing all the joking about that afterwards. What the heck did I miss? I catch most of the streams, but occasionally I miss one or two here or there, and that looks like some good fun was had that night. Like I missed about the middle third of last week's stream and left middle half or middle third somewhere in there, and left in what seemed to be a slow moving game, and then came back to everybody like just uproarious laughter at all the craziness Coury got into in that I forget what the name of that game.
Raw Danger.
Raw Danger. Holy crap, that was it went some ridiculous stuff by the end. It started off awfully slow, but it was entertaining there by the end, apparently.
Yeah, Coury was actually like considering like he was saying like we should, if people didn't mind, like we should feel like it's okay to continue a game on a stream. And he was like, maybe next week I'll continue Raw Danger and just see how that goes over.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. Nobody's.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do on
the same game I've already seen.
Yeah, I mean that's what we do on Backloggery streams. Is we
right.
we continue the game until we finish it generally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see why we
I don't see a problem.
why we can't
why
do
anybody
that.
would have a problem.
I
I don't think anybody in the audience, anybody in your normal audience would care. That's, you know, people come here to hang out, chat, BS, and that's not going to change because it's the same game that was played. You played the first part of this game yesterday, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we try to mix it up, but you know, there are a lot of games where it's like, I don't know if I would play this on MLiG stream because it's like, oh, you know, you know, we should do something new. I don't know. It's just kind of always been our rule for no particular reason.
It's okay, but the rules are, you two make the rules, so there's nothing against, if you want to change them, it only realistically impacts the two of you guys, and because no one's going to complain. The rules are set by you, so it's yours to bend or break.
I don't know why it's not letting me get the autograph from the movie guy.
You're not. I guess Mario's not cool enough to get an autograph.
He's like, oh, it's out of your price range.
Just start throwing coins at him. Make it rain coins.
I actually have,
make it hail.
I mean, I haven't used a lot of them. I've held on to my money pretty well.
Oh! Just smashed him in the face. I love the reaction.
Every character reacts a little bit. Goombella does too.
Just hit him with a hammer right in the face.
I am kind of at a loss as to how to find anything I haven't already found here.
Well, if you're looking for a slight hint, you can look at the chat Q46 posting. I don't know if you don't want it, I'm not going to repeat it here.
It's not Zip-Toad. Is it from me, the Great Gonzalez, as I was known in the chapter when that little bomb became a fan of mine? But I mean, why doesn't it give me the option to just give it to him then? I know that some guy wrote Mario's name on his pants at some point in this, because there was a pipe that you weren't able to go down unless you had an item that had your name on it. Okay, I know what he wants, assuming it's from me, but I've talked to everyone on this train. So the one room I haven't... Wait, is there a room I've somehow been skipping? I feel like I've been in every room several times. Unless this guy will move now. I don't think there's a room I haven't been in. I don't think there's anything to check in the rooms other than the drawer by the bed. Wait, oh wait, that guy told me I should have been paying more. This is why I don't stream RPGs. It's very hard for me to pay attention to what characters say. While
so much bet I could never attempt to. You know, I just, the minor streaming I do is just, you know, in our Discord.
Oh, he wants an autograph from the engineer. Okay. Well, I have been in that room.
And I can't. That's why I don't.
I thought he wanted my autograph, though. The Great Gonzalez. That's Mario's wrestling name in chapter 3.
Yeah, I can't do any story-based games when I'm in the little bit of streaming I do. Then the Discord, the handful of people, like I did when I was playing Super Metroid, but like right now I'm playing Cyberpunk. Like I'm not trying to do that because I'm actually trying to pay attention to the story, and there's no way if I'm sitting there I'd just be talking the whole time and miss half of what's going on. Sign it from Luigi. Sign it Red Luigi.
Red Luigi. I always, I always sign Triforce, like when people ask us to sign Blu-rays at conventions, or I don't know, people have asked us to sign their OSSC, stuff like that. But I always sign Triforce, and my Triforce signature is significantly better than my like real signature. My real signature.
The real signature, because
yeah. It's so bad.
As you get progressively older, it just goes from when you were a kid, you actually sign your name properly.
Yes.
As you get older, like you get tired, you sign a million receipts, and it's just a squiggle from signing receipts and maybe checks, like that kind of crap.
Yeah.
At this point, it's a little for mine, a little loop from the H, and then it's just a line.
Yeah, I do like a little loop with the M, and then it's just a squiggle. And then I do my little loop with the D, and then there's like some semblance of a UDDL. Sometimes the L doesn't quite make it, and it's just.
Yep. No, there's a little loop from the beginning letter, and then it's just a vaguely repeatable squiggle. It's to the point, like when it comes, the only time it ever gets looked at closely at all is when you vote, and so I'm always like terrified because when I voted, when I looked, I had, because that was right before, because I had to match my ID. They've carried stuff over for some reason. I finally got it updated this year, but all the stuff on my ID just kept getting reused, including the photo from when I was 17. The only reason it wasn't from when I was 16 is I physically lost my ID, my driver's license when I was 17. Had to get a new one printed. So when it had a 17-year-old photo, like I just at my 38th birthday went and got it updated, and finally don't have a 17-year-old me and 17-year-old me's signature on my ID anymore. But even when beginning of November, that wasn't here yet, so I'm still having out there and having to make sure my signature at voting time is somewhat relevant, because that's the only time. Nobody checks your signature against anything for when you purchase it, including buying a house. No one checks your signature for anything, even that crazy expensive. That's the only time it gets checked is when you're voting. And so trying to match my signature from 21 years ago. I took my time and somewhat cared then. I haven't taken my time in 20 years.
I never heard the end of Coury's I never heard the end of Coury's story about he ended up like having to go get his driver's license renewed like one day after it expired because of all these hassles that kept getting him delayed. I never heard
similar thing happened to me.
Yeah, so. I never heard if he actually had a successful or annoying time getting that finalized.
Yeah. Because I had problems because of the Real ID thing too. I was waiting on a replacement Social Security card because mine got lost when my ex-wife and I separated. Pretty sure that I knew where it was. She said it wasn't. That's a whole fun thing. So I applied for a new one, and they kept delaying getting it to me. It took forever to come in. The post office lost it, and it eventually showed up like 2 weeks later. And so I actually didn't get mine renewed because of that until like the day after my birthday. But because of that, they charged me a late fee as well. I'm like, but the government's the reason I'm late. You guys can't get... One government agency shipped it to me late. The other delivered it to me late. And now the other one's charging me extra. Yeah, so I had that same fun. Like when he was describing that a couple weeks ago, I felt that. I felt it. Because in Florida you have to do, like, I think he mentioned that there's a grace period for him, I guess in Kentucky. But in Florida you don't have a grace period. You have legally have to have it done by your birthday. But yeah, no. I had that same fun because of Real ID. So I felt his pain.
So I guess it's not too hard to get another Social Security card. I did it recently because I couldn't find mine, and then it ended up turning out that I didn't need it for what I thought I needed it, but I thought I was going to need it, so I got another one. It was easy. Hefty looks like he's in trouble.
I thought it was going to be a difficult task. I was shocked how easy it was actually, but it still took a long time. And then the fact that the post office lost it made it. Only reason I know they lost it, I've signed up for that service. They send you a notice of every piece of mail you're going to get the day before it arrives. They like scanned in photos. I'm like, hey, it's coming today or tomorrow, and then it didn't come for 2 more weeks.
Is it just me? I can't stop seeing that pattern that's on the bed curtains as being like an Xbox logo. I don't know.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah. It does look a lot like.
Back when the original version of this game came out, me and my roommate, well, it was more my roommate's thought, but he was like, because the villains in this game are the X-Nauts, like XNAUTS, and like their logos are all these X's, and they do like an X salute and stuff like that. And my roommate was convinced that Nintendo was like making fun of Xbox with that, but I'm like,
I don't think Nintendo knew the Xbox existed at the time they were making it.
I think Nintendo barely cared about the Xbox's existence.
Japan did not know or care about the Xbox OG's existence.
Yeah.
Which, because of that, I actually just picked up a Japanese Xbox game that was apparently a rare variant of it, especially because of that. And posted it in Discord, and somebody else found another one and picked it up. Apparently, Panzer Dragoon Orta, there was in most copies that existed in Japan, which wasn't a successful console to begin with, but they all had this like sepia filter over the. It was a much cooler looking cover than we got the US one. But it had this. I hate sepia filters on everything ever. I think it's a terrible look. I don't find it artistic. I think sepia is just hideous. And it had the sepia filter. There was a short run before they became a platinum release that they took the sepia filter off that I learned about. And I just happened to stumble upon one on eBay and picked it up for a really good price because I didn't own a physical of that game at all. I bought it digitally, but I never owned a physical. And the fact that you can use any region physical on a Series X to download the English version. I was like, that's perfect time to pick this game up. So picked up that rare variant of it with a non-sepia filter, and it's like the same. The box art is like the same as the image on the back of the U.S. copy of Panzer Dragoon Orta. was really cool artwork, but yeah, picked that up, and I realized like, I probably will never see another copy of this again, considering how poorly that console and thus its software sold in Japan.
Yeah.
Because no one in Japan cared about the OG Xbox.
I mean, there's a few Japan exclusive Xbox games. At the very least, there's well, I mean, it's available in the US on like PS4 and stuff now, but what's it called? Metal Wolf Chaos. I feel like I learned about another Japan exclusive Xbox game not that long ago.
So that wasn't released in the US on Xbox, Metal Wolf Chaos?
Nope.
Okay.
But then the remaster came out.
I own that game on PS4 and it's still sealed. It's a random game I saw for $5 on Walmart website at one point many years ago, and I was like, I have no idea what this is, but for $5 I'm picking it up. It's $5 and it's not sports. I'm hitting buy.
That's definitely the most famous.
I knew of it. I didn't realize it wasn't out in the US though. I thought it was a rare US game. I didn't think it was a Japanese only game.
Yeah, it's definitely Japanese only.
Okay.
What on earth?
It had a really interesting premise. I don't remember exactly what it was, but
I'm forgetting about a character who might be able to help me figure this out. Maybe.
it's it's $5 and it's on sports.
Oh, wait. Maybe, perhaps, if we hide. Aha! I don't help ghosts.
Your life! Okay. Just kidding.
Oh no. I can't believe it's like 20 minutes to 11 and I've fought so few RPG battles in this section of the game. I feel like this ended up being like the worst section to like show off of the game. Although it's got cool reflections in this part of the game. You don't say no to ghosts. I can't blow away the boxes.
Uncommon Code says likes the idea of a major part of it. I like the idea of a major part of an RPG that doesn't have a ton of battles. Yeah, I have a hard time with huge amounts of random battles. That's when I told you I had to use the Dreamcast recently for the first time in a while. I played a patched version of Skies of Arcadia. I've never played the game. I've never played Skies of Arcadia. I've loaded up a patch version that apparently reduces the amount of random battles. My first thought is, this is the reduced amount? Holy crap, how did anybody ever play through that? That was the reduced amount. And if I can't imagine what the original game was like that. I've gotten with limited time, game time in any given most days. Today, I've had plenty of time today to game, but other than that, I don't usually have more than an hour or two in a given night. I get really annoyed with games I feel games that are disrespectful of time. And a lot of JRPGs in that era were really disrespectful of time. That's why I told you I'm a big proponent with RPGs. I have no problem like using cheats to rebalance a game, or maybe like level up a bit and then turn off random battles or things like that, just to streamline things, just so I can have time. I don't want to have to spend a month, 2 months playing through a single game type, just because a game has huge amount of random things. And
you should you should check out Fantasian. I'm still not done with it, but I really like it. Unless toward the end it takes a sour turn. I kind of feel like I might have picked it as my game of the year last year if I'd played it.
Okay.
And when it came out in December, but
reasonable battles.
Huh?
Reasonable battle amounts.
Well, so what it does that's kind of cool is it's got this thing called the Dimension, which you can't use it all the time, but you can use it most of the time, where if you encounter a monster you've never fought before, you have to fight the monster immediately. But if the random enemies that would have gone into the battle are enemies you have seen before, then they go into the Dimension, and you start off the game being able to hold 30 monsters in it. And then I've upgraded it to be 40. It can probably go higher, I'm guessing, but you can like choose to fight those monsters whenever you want. Like, so it just, okay. So like you have to fight them. I have found like a thing that can like clear it out for money, but I've not done that. But like, and it can fill up pretty fast in some areas, but like basically like you could just do it. You could be like, okay, now I'll do all the monsters, and you fight them in one big battle where like you also get like some bonuses like extra attack power and stuff like that. So you can overall like get rid of the monsters much faster than it would have been at first. And like I just love how the dungeons aren't like particularly long. Like, I mean, think about like a PlayStation era RPG where, you've got these pre-rendered backgrounds, so each area isn't that large, because they're actually like, they're photographs of dioramas instead of pre-rendered CG backgrounds, but it's a very similar concept. And so it's just, the game moves along at a nice pace that feels like it respects your time.
That's it. It's good. I very briefly messed with it early on its life on Apple Arcade. I feel like I didn't have a MacBook at the time. I feel like I played it though on a MacBook. Like I might have had like a temporary one. I feel like I played it, and but I didn't have it, and I don't really like playing too much that kind of anything serious on an iPad or iPhone. So I never got back to it, but obviously now it's on other platforms. So I might take a look.
The wood paneling's so great.
You've got you and that ghost toad have some things in common there.
Yeah.
Loves a good wood paneling.
Yeah,
I don't have any wood paneling, but I do have that Fractal North XL now sitting in the center of my living room. And damn, that looks good.
Which one did you get?
Black with the solid mesh side panel.
Okay, yeah, I've got white with the solid mesh. It kind of looks like it needs the mesh needs to be dusted though.
the white was on sale when I was buying mine, and I could right before I bought mine, I could have got it discounted, but it's going in mine's in the living room where lots of black and brown pieces already. A lot of my living room is like 80% IKEA. So other than the things I sit on.
Guilty.
Other than the things I sit on is all IKEA.
Well, things I sit on are not IKEA, but everything else is mostly IKEA.
Yeah. No, IKEA's couches and chairs are god awful, but everything else, all of their things that don't have organic things on them are amazing. Like I got a lot of IKEA Kallax and an IKEA Besta and an IKEA Rhetoric, I think is what the retro desk, what I call my retro desk, where 20L5 and all the older consoles are on. Like it's all IKEA, but so it's all in black or brown black. It was what IKEA calls it, and so the white would have really stuck out. Plus the black fractals, the black Norts get a darker wood than there's lighter wood on.
Oh,
I
never realized that.
Yeah, if you look at pictures of them next to each other, it's a significantly darker finished wood.
Interesting, but I just wanted the white one because it just something different and something that would show dust less easily.
Yeah. And I've done that in the past. I've had white cases. I love the contrast. One of my favorite cases I ever owned was the Antec 540 Air, or Corsair 540 Air. It was a giant cube, like it was the size of two mid-tower computers next to each other. It was so like the current thing is always dual chamber these days, but it was an early version of dual chamber where the second chamber was huge. But it made for amazing cable management, and so much airflow went through that thing. And I had a giant white cube, but it was in a bedroom in an office type setup. It was great. I didn't mind that, but in the living room, I kind of wanted to stick with, all right, I want stuff to keep my dark colors in the living room, and I loved the black case, but because also you get the buttons are different. I think the white one, it's silver buttons, but I get brass colored buttons. Like all the accents are brass colored on the black one. So
yeah,
like
the white one does have silver buttons.
Yeah. But so that looked really good. Seen the photos. I know I spammed a ton of photos as I was rebuilding my living room recently, about a month ago. But definitely liking my new setup, and makes good for movie watching, and works all right for gaming, and I move stuff around sometimes for better gaming. Like I can just slide my recliner from the back wall into the dead middle of the living room like I did earlier for playing Cyberpunk, because I was the only one in the house. So my recliner just slides right into place, and right up using the 65-inch like a monitor right in my face. Waiting on that 77. I had a 77 G4 on order.
Ooh.
And I canceled it though, because the day before it was to be delivered, LG unveiled the G5, which we knew that was coming. But I expected the G5 would be only a minor refresh. They had some significant things on the G5, including
really?
The big thing being they got if you're familiar with the G3 and G4, the big upgrade was what they called the MLA layer.
Right.
That increase its brightness. They did away with that and have an entire new panel type. That is they're using a tandem. It's called a tandem OLED panel, and it's using a different different way of lining up the pixels, as well as it's 165 hertz, where the G4s were 144 hertz. Which obviously only matter for PC gaming.
Right.
But PC is my primary. If given a choice, PC is always my first platform. So that makes a world of difference, especially if I want to use BFI type stuff. The higher refresh rate, the better. You can get a proper BFI, even if just using on PC, because then the effective, at 165, your effective is 60 or 82.5 hertz after a single BFI pass is done. So you can if you use a filter to do that, and if not, just having a higher frame rate is available is always nice upgrade over my current 120. So and it's even brighter. They did away with. They're using. I got to look. Tandem OLED panels can get brighter than the MLAs did, and because the MLA had some downsides to it, especially with if you have any light hit your screen. MLAs it causes your TVs to gray out a bit in spots if you have any external light. And so the fact they're able to do a brighter picture without the MLA layer meant you didn't have that negative anymore.
So you don't think the MLA is going to be a long-lived technology then? On these
No,
screens?
it seems it's already dead.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if the C6 will have it.
I don't. If they've gotten rid of the MLA layer, I don't know how difficult or expensive that is to manufacture. I don't feel like that's something that would come back for a lower trim. I expected MLA would have made it into the C4, but I was wrong because they usually introduce stuff in a G, and it usually makes it in a similar or lesser form in the next generation C. That did not happen with MLA. Because with it not happening, made me think like there's probably some cost associated with it or manufacturing difficulty. Probably why they didn't put it in the C series in the 4. So I got a feeling it probably won't make its way. The MLA won't continue, but maybe Tandem OLED eventually makes its way to the C. They got to rename the panels. I don't know what's next. So because there already was a 6th generation, they started with 6.
Yeah,
Start 6, 7, 8, 9, X, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we got 5. So whatever the next C becomes.
6? I mean, that wasn't their first year of OLED.
Well, it wasn't their first OLED, but it was the first. They started that naming. I forget. They had a different naming.
Yeah, I wonder.
There was one generation prior to 6, but it had a different naming scheme.
I don't know why they didn't. Like when they did X for 2020, like they should have continued on doing something more in that vein, but.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted to do X for 1 year, probably because of putting a 0 there sounds bad from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah.
If you just call it this, the C0, like.
Although I don't think like they really rely on the model number for marketing. Like most people are just like, oh, I just want the OLED TV. That's the best.
Yeah. True. So, C series. Yeah, let's not let Microsoft name it as Sotinus as C Series U. And let's not do Microsoft naming. Let's not go. Sorry. So, gonna be interesting to see what this. If I'm honestly gonna buy the FERT as soon as the G is available. I have a credit available for my current G with I've got the GX. And I've got a bunch of dead pixels on it, but I've got Best Buy warranty. There's a big problem with the X and 1 generations with the edges. I have 2. I've got a CX and a GX, and both of them have buttloads of dead pixels, all within 1 inch of the border on all 4 sides.
I saw I saw, I think it was Ace from the Discord say something about dead pixels around it.
Ace has got the same problem I do on their 1 generation. He's got the C1, I believe, or it might be C2, but I think it was C1 with the same problem. And it's I don't know.
Lucky so far, I guess.
It's just all of them do it, or if it was. I thought it first started showing up on my CX, which is a 48-inch. I thought maybe because it showed up shortly after I moved. Maybe because I did the thing you're not supposed to do with an OLED, and I transported it flat due to no other option. OLEDs are supposed to be standing up at all times. But my GX was not like that. It was delivered by Best Buy, but who knows what happened previous to that. It was an open box. I bought open box. But because of that, I've got Best Buy warranty, so they give me the full value of it in return, which was only I think $1,700, but because I bought the Best Buy Geek Squad warranty, but that gets me $1,700 off my next screen. But I'm waiting on the G5 to become available, which will be really expensive at launch. But I'm just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet and do it and put it on my Best Buy account and pay it off over 2 years, the remainder.
I wonder if, because I got one of the later see ones that uses the same panel as
The Evo panel.
it uses the Evo panel, and I wonder if the Evo panels are not going to get that same problem. I
Yeah,
can hope.
Not sure.
If I have dead pixels on my TV, I have not noticed, and I'm not going to actively look for them.
Well, the issue that occurs is all within about an inch of the border. So if don't look close at the border of your screen. And on my 65-inch, I honestly can't make them out from the viewing distance. But I do occasionally like stand up at the screen when I'm doing stuff, so I notice them there.
Yeah.
I can notice them on my 48-inch because I don't now, but for the longest time I use that 48-inch as a monitor. Like, but before I did move my PC to the home theater setup, that 48-inch CX was my primary gaming display because it was like the first 4K 120 hertz thing you could get OLED, and that's what I wanted. So I have one of the very first one that was ever delivered to America. Like I immediately ordered like the day they became available. I waited like a year on this because I had been using a 55-inch B7 for a while, and I was like, I wanted something smaller. So the moment the first 48-inch hit the shores, I need this because I wanted a smaller display. And of course, then the next year, like, surprise, we're doing a 42-inch. Like, dang it. But I stuck with a 48. Yep, I guess after when you look, you'll see you got tagged in it as well. After Urameshi in our Discord noticed it. He has them too.
Oh no!
After us talking about it, just went and looked. Because, yep, I got them, but I don't see them when playing. Only looking at it, and sent pictures. And they're within an inch of the border. There are. You can see in this photo. You can see that's probably 2 in that spot. Then 3, 4, 5, 6. Just in that one shot, you can see 6 in one picture. And there's that's like a glut of like 5 or 6 in a hole, almost looks like a hole in the screen with those 5 or 6 in one spot. So yeah, those they do that. But maybe the Evo panel is different because these are earlier, at least mine's earlier panel. I'm not sure, but everybody else's. That doesn't deter me though. I love OLED panels.
I know.
They're too good. Like I have a problem. I have one of my laptops is OLED. I've got 2 OLED TVs. I've got a 32-inch OLED monitor on my desktop. The sad thing is I wish I had an OLED iPad because those have some amazing ratings for content. But I have to suffer with my one generation older mini LED M2 iPad. Like I got work to agree to buy it for me, so I don't think they'll do it again. And I just can't justify, like, that iPad I got was like, we're paid like $1,800, and I'm just not buying an $1,800 iPad to replace it. But I love quality screens, and OLED is where it's at until micro LED catches up in 17 years.
Yeah, and did you see what Oliver and Alex said about the micro LEDs that were at CES? They looked like, I saw
garbage.
The pictures too. They looked so bad.
I was looking at their video. I was looking at Vincent from HDTV Test. Watched his videos. Like, yeah, micro. That's why I just said in 70. Because for the longest time I've been saying we're 5 years off of micro LED. I thought this year we're not. No, we're nowhere close.
Yeah.
We are. It's still a pipe dream. We have not mastered that technology.
Yeah.
I will continue to buy OLED, and I will be a big proponent of telling people, yes, if it's within your budget, do it, and whenever possible, buy a Best Buy Geek Squad warranty, because there's a good chance you will have, that 5-year warranty will cost you a good chunk up front, but you're going to more than make up for it. When that model is no longer made, Geek Squad will give you the value of your TV back, or replace it with the equivalent, the most affordable equivalent that they have. If I wanted, because they still had stock of G3s, they would give me straight up a 65 G3 to replace my GX instead of, or they'll give me $1,700 towards my next other display, whatever I choose. So if you're in the market for premium level TV, it's a great value to get that and get the Geek Squad warranty. And then, because you likely will be able to find something not right within 5 years. There's a good chance on any premium TV.
You don't have to do too much to justify it.
Correct. What I did, because I already did this once, even though I didn't follow through with it because of the G5 release. They send somebody out to your house. In some cases, I've been told they will do it just over the phone sometimes, but it's up to that person's discretion, either on the phone, maybe with pictures. Worst case, they send somebody out to your house to look at that problem, and they look and go, yep, that's the problem, all right. And then they send it off to basically effectively the insurance underwriters to write it up. You contact them later when you're ready to do something. And it was it was a slightly lengthy but not painful process. It's one of those things, it'll suck if you're in a situation, if you had a full-on dead set trying to get it replaced quickly. It honestly would be a little bit of a pain. But if you're dealing with the situation of, I'm replacing something that works just subpar, it's perfectly passable service. And it's pricey up front, and you don't get the cost of the warranty back. Because of $1,700 TV, so I probably paid $400 or $500 for a 5-year warranty. But paying that extra $400 or $500, I get back the original full price of $1,700 off the TV purchase, for what this cost me open box. Or again, in a direct replacement, which in this case they have G3s still in stock, so I would get a G3 replacement if I wasn't being picky. But G3 is a good one, but I wanted the 144 hertz that the G4 offered, and then when I wait, if I wait just a little longer, I can get that 165 hertz in that G5, which for me is a pretty good jump for PC gaming.
I unfortunately haven't really had much of an opportunity to take advantage of it, but the thing that makes me not look forward to someday upgrading from my C1 is no model since has had black frame insertion support for 120 hertz content. That
was something I was concerned with, and so I did what I do when I checked the one place I would trust on seeing, okay, how bad is it? So I asked John Lenneman, and just I know John did the same upgrade I was doing. He went from a GX to I was about to go to a G4. I asked him, do you notice it? Because I have a reasonably critical eye. I will argue it's probably not going to be as critical as John's eye. John's he's got that motion, especially with the motion critical, even more so. And he says he definitely notices the downgrade, but overall he would do it again. The overall quality and brightness upgrade was significant enough, and that's one thing. The brightness is what has me wanting to upgrade. The GX is not bright as I'd like.
I have no problem with C1 brightness. In some scenarios, it's too bright for me, So I brightness is not that compelling, aside from compensating for features like black frame insertion. But you can do that with, HDR already to an acceptable level. I actually did upgrade the firmware, although I want to say I saw some people saying a newer firmware is causing problems with C1s, although I didn't read the details. But I upgraded a few months ago. I've never connected the TV online, but you can upgrade over USB. So I upgraded because John told me, oh, I heard that they've improved the HDR on the C1. I'm like, oh gosh, I guess I should try it. And what's interesting is, so Alan Wake 2 actually gives you insight that I've never seen before.
Yeah, lets you dial it in. Some games.
Hold on.
You dial in.
Actually, I think I found another game. Oh, what's it called? That weird game from the Silent Hill guy.
PT?
No. The what was that game? Several people on our Discord played it. Why am I drawing a blank on it? I bought it, but I played Slitterhead. I knew you were one of the people that played it, Uramishi. Yeah, Slitterhead. I played like the opening tutorial of it. Pretty interesting game. But that game also gives you insight into the system level PS5 HDR settings that actually, shockingly enough, gives you if you follow the instructions on PS5 for calibrating HDR, it gets very close to what the advertised nits of your TV are. The number reflected in the settings menu. Alan Wake 2 does this, and since I have access to the Xbox version of Alan Wake 2, in addition to I have access to Xbox version through Coury's account, and then I have the physical PS5 version. And what's interesting is, I think it said like 730 something on PS5, and then it was a different number on Xbox. But what's funny is, on PS5 it says to adjust until all squares are the same brightness, right? On Xbox it says until you can just barely see. So it was actually a lower value on Xbox. But then I took the PS5 instructions and applied it to how I did the Xbox. So I pushed it one bump further. And then Alan Wake said bang on, I think it was 750 nits, which was the advertised brightness of the C1. The advertised brightness, 750 nits. But then I learned about the firmware update with better HDR, so I installed that, and then I recalibrated, and then Alan Wake said something like, I want to say around 1100 or 1200 nits. So a pretty significant upgrade through firmware, actually.
Yeah, I thought when you just said 750, it sounded low because I did something, I think it was a similar thing with the Alan Wake 2, because on PC, setting the HDR, similar nits, because mine's around 1000 to 1100. I don't remember the exact, but it was around in there. And I remember that was about what was right for my CX or GX, but it's the same panel. They didn't change the panel between those two in that gen. But at the same time, I remember that makes sense. Remember when you were talking about back when you reviewed the C1, didn't you complain like it wasn't as, even though with all the supposed upgrades, you thought it was not as bright as your C7
in SDR? Like for some reason in SDR mode, the HDR brightness was always significantly better. Okay. But they capped like the maximum nits on SDR mode in a way that didn't apply on the C7.
Okay, so I was thinking of that. I couldn't remember. I was thinking it was across the whole thing, but yeah, because I got on my GX, when I got it all calibrated, it was either reading 1000 or 1100 nits in Alan Wake 2, which is just about right for the GX. which is about right as well, because there was no the CX, the GX, and the C1 all had had basically the same panel. But I don't know, yours being an Evo may be slightly different, but at least the original C1, I guess the Evo would be different, but the original C1 didn't have an upgraded panel. The G1 got an upgraded panel that then made its way into the C2, and the G2 got an even brighter panel. No, that held the same as, and then G3 got the brighter panel because of MLA. Yeah, trying to keep every little upgrade LG did in my head. It's like so many. I had them all straight, but there's so many of them. I gotta remember what did what. Now there's so many years of them to keep straight. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 was a difficult in terms of brightness for me. I've got a mostly light controlled living room, so it's not too bad.
I want to say I want to say that Alan Wake 2. I mean, I've not played through the game yet, but I experimented with it a bit because I was really curious about that HDR information, because I'd never played a game that actually gave you that insight before, which I thought was super cool.
At least the PC version of Cyberpunk does as well. I've never played it on console, so I don't know about it.
But yeah, it I thought that was really great, and I want to say though that the game does have a cap to how bright it actually allows the HDR to become.
That's possible.
But it still tells you what the what the system level is set to. I want to say that there was something in the menu that indicated that it might cap out at like 500 nits or something like that. Okay. Which, by the way, I've got the Retrode 4K set to 500 nits right now, because I've kind of found that if you've got I'm just using kind of a little bit of a CR, a very high resolution, high density CRT mask on for this game just for fun, and so the mask does darken it, and I find that if I have just a mask, no scan lines or anything, that 500 nits feels comparable to what the game just looks like in SDR. So I don't necessarily try to go brighter than SDR, because I was disappointed at first, like I said, about how the SDR seemed less bright on the C1 compared to the C7, but I've just gotten so used to it that I just kind of use that as my guideline for when I am using the HDR and the Retrode to compensate for darkening effects caused by scan lines, CRT masks, or black frame insertion. And of course, I'm not using black frame insertion because this is a 30 FPS game. So, although, like I said, I really want to experiment with see if I can do like a black frame insertion using like 90 hertz or something like that.
Yeah,
see if that actually looks good. The problem with that could potentially be that the flash is going to come on a much wider time scale, I think. Is that how that would work? I don't know. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. But I do want to I want to experiment with that. I should experiment with that before I'm done with this game.
Yeah, I guess that would be interesting. Get 90 hertz within a VRR container, or that should be some really, it'd be equivalent of doing a 60 FPS game BFI at 180 in terms of motion clarity. Yeah, I wish I could show you the clarity that I got on this this monitor running 1080p, because this monitor, I don't know, I doubt it was native. I'm running the Alienware 32-inch 4K OLED 240. I don't know how it scales 1080p in terms. I don't know what it's doing,
Hmm.
but it honestly didn't look bad when I set the RetroTink to 1080p 240. It looked shockingly good.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think it was like, I don't think it was 100%. Like, I don't think it was just doing an integer scale, but you know, in my experience, previous monitor scaling has always been bad. Like the scalers and monitors are really bad. The last thing I remember,
Yeah.
the last thing I remember really trying to scale, I used to play a Switch occasionally on a 1440p monitor, and that 1080 to 1440 was a blurry, smeary mess. It was an older ultra wide. It was like an early, like a 2016 Samsung 1440p ultra wide. The the scaling from 1080 to 1440 on that was atrocious. And like, but this was pleasant to look at, and the extra clarity. I played a game I had never, like, I started just doing some Google searching, like, what should I try? I was like, I want to try something Saturn core, because I think, you know, Saturn arguably is the, other than arcade, is the best. It's the best 2D for 240p stuff you're gonna get on the Mister, and that's what I was
Sure.
using for testing. And so I was like, what's really good sprite based stuff to test? And I found a suggestion for I think the game was called Street Racer Extreme, and I wasn't familiar with it, and I loaded it up like sprite based. Okay, it was a kart racing game. It was a mediocre kart racer. Felt like Wacky Races almost. But the artwork was very large, very detailed sprites. Like some of the largest, most detailed sprites I've seen in a 240p game. Ran at 60 FPS. Felt absolutely amazing running on this that rolling CRT BFI beta test running at 240 hertz. It was, I'd venture to say, just about, if not like, so close to CRT smoothness that I don't think I could really tell a difference unless I have it in a different room than my 20L5, so I can't have these next to each other without significant work. Without being able, I can see them at the same time if I line up my vision just right, but I have to be far away from both. I couldn't. I couldn't discern a difference between walking between rooms to look at the two panels, look between the CRT and this 32-inch. But it was a fun test. Like I'm not something I'm using full time, but I've considered making some changes to the setup to have couldn't do 240. I could only do 120. Trying to get a 1440p OLED into my retro setup, the 27-inch 1440s. But do that, I can't. You know, I could. Then in theory, I can do stuff like hopefully tell the monitor to do a 1-to-1 scale with pixels, so I can do 1080p in a window, but the math puts at only 20. That would give the 16:9 size would still only give 20 inches if I did that. So which would be even, so 4:3 would be even smaller than my 20L5. So defeats a lot of purpose having that right next to the 20L5 with a smaller image overall to have that perfect scaling if I wanted to do 240 hertz.
Yeah, I unfortunately I don't have any better screen for doing the beam CRT testing on than, you know, I can't do more than 120 hertz. So I'd love to see it, but
yeah, I do plan on still getting, because I have, long story, I've got more credit that I need to utilize at Dell soon for some stuff, and I'm very much considering grabbing a that 27-inch 360 hertz 1440p panel to have that for PC usage if I want to use PC in the living room other than on the TV. And so if I do that, if I ever make, when I make it up to North Carolina again, I'll bring that and you get to see. May only be on a 20-inch screen if we do it at a 1-to-1 scale, but because once it's 20-inch with it at 27-inch, but run 1080p, 240 hertz on that off the Retrode Tink, and with the fast response time of the OLED, it's because I can't easily take the 32-inch because the way I've got it mounted, this thing ain't moving until it dies. But the 27-inch will be just kind of sitting somewhere. So if I get that, it'll be a little more portable.
That sun kind of looks like it's in front of the background.
Oh yeah, it is. It is in front of the background, like looking at the parallax. But I'm looking at the stream, like I said, 5 seconds or so after you say that, but it really does.
We finally got combat on this stream.
It's been a while, hasn't it? You just attack an audience member?
I did. Well, the audience member had a rock that they were going to throw at me.
Yeah, again, I've never played this, so I wasn't familiar. That's a thing. You could attack audience members. Don't heckle them. Apparently, don't heckle the people on stage, or they will attack you.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like this sun is like possibly a bigger concern than whatever
Right.
bad things might happen if the crystal stars fall into the wrong hands. Like this looks like a singularity is about to consume the earth. So I think we need to shift our priorities here.
And that's how we feel in Florida every dang day. Considering we're in the 80s again every day now. We had 2 weeks of we had the longest, coldest winter I've ever experienced in Florida. 2 weeks of temperatures in the 40s, and low 50s as highs. But that's over. We're back to full on spring. Because it feels like that sun is that close.
Did the first Paper Mario game I don't think has the whole audience thing going on.
No. That was unique to this game, I believe.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well, there's an audience in Origami King as well. I forget if they did that in Sticker Star and Color Splash, but Origami King has an audience thing, much more useful, I would say.
Oh my god. Zane's dad says, hoping for double digits up north here. Sadly, we'll probably get negative double digits. Oh my god. Like, we hit 80 degrees tomorrow, and then every single day it's going to 80, 81, 81, 82, 82, 81, 84, 83, 79. And the lows are in the mid 60s with super high humidity. So it's still warm even for a low. We're at 66 with 96% humidity right now. My air conditioner and my dehumidifier are running, trying to keep the humidity out.
Jeez.
Yeah, I broke down. This winter has been the wettest winter in terms of maybe not rain, but humidity. I broke down and bought a large dehumidifier this year because the humidity has been insane. Just without it, we're sitting in the 60% range indoors with the air conditioner, because the air conditioner doesn't run enough. It's just cool enough to make the AC only run every couple of hours. It was so moist that the air was just disgusting.
Man, I hope you get over your flu soon, Zane's dad. You've had that for entirely too long.
Yeah, that's insanely long. Sotonus. It does have a display. I don't know what technology it is, but I feel like it's not OLED. Oh. Should borrow some. Zane's dad should borrow some stew from Hefty. I do have an OLED memory. She's right.
That's
OLED
true.
Switch. I've got that this MemCard Pro 2.
Yep.
Trying to think. I don't know. I think that's the cheap Google Nest, so I don't think it has the OLED. I think it's just the cheap LCD on it. I don't know what else might have a hidden OLED somewhere here in my house. Oh well, of course not hidden. I've got so many cell phones because I also do asset management. And most of those, I've got tons of OLED cell phones laying around. I'm using 2 right now, actually. There's one in front of me. Mine's in front of me right here, and filming with one. Or I'm using one as a webcam. So my webcam is OLED. Got an iPhone 12 mini that it exists only to be a webcam, or at least not only, but it's a large amount of it exists for webcams and Teams meetings for work.
So what's this up top there? How would I get up there?
K-Lead Gamer, yeah, the first OLED that consumer could buy with that 11-inch Sony. I remember drooling over that. It was for sale for a little bit of time. We had a Sony store here in Orlando in one of the malls. We have multiple malls, and like the high-end tourist mall. There's 2 different tourist area malls. You get the normal level mall and then the fancy mall, the one you go into when you want to, buy $5,000 pieces of luggage and other luxury goods like that. And they had a Sony store in that one. And I remember this was early, like the PS4 had just launched. Because I remember going in there. I think at the same time I played Knack the same day. I was drooling over that 11-inch OLED. No, I was not playing Knack on the OLED.
Why did I just use a fire attack on Buzzy Beetles? I swear I know my Mario.
Are you maybe Mario's hungry and he wants to cook them.
I should just use the attack item on these.
But yeah, that 11-inch OLED was apparently they still sell for okay money because people collect those. But I remember that thing was amazing, and like I need something like this. I think it was sub 720p. It could take a 720p signal, but I want to say it was 540p, like 960 by 540, something like that. Really low resolution, even for the time. Oh yeah, I guess it wasn't much long after that when the Vita came out with an OLED screen.
Yeah, Vita does not have perfect black though.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Early OLED tech wasn't perfect. No.
Yeah, I mean the
coatings have a lot to do with it. I think.
Yeah, the PSVR 1 very much does not have perfect black either.
That's not OLED, I don't believe.
It is.
PSVR 1. It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I didn't know that. I thought those are just standard IPS screens. I know the second one does, obviously.
Yep, it is.
Today I learned something.
Yeah, it's OLED.
I've tried to be very mindful of my space. I've had to rent a storage locker recently. I'm just out of space in a small townhouse.
Yeah.
Trying to be mindful of what I buy. I mean, like, part of me wants to pick up a PSVR, both 1 and 2. Just, if nothing else, because I've bought physical, and most of the people around, and even know me, know I'm a very large Star Wars fan. And I've gone out of my way to find, like, some, like, harder to find physical Star Wars games, including the PSVR 1 and 2 Star Wars games. Vader Immortal, I finally found a copy of it on PS4 VR. And I kind of want to play. I guess that's on Quest. I could play that on a PC at least, or Quest headset. Then there is the Tales from Galaxy's Edge on PSVR 2. While that is on Quest, it's on Quest, not PC, and it's a enhanced edition on the PS5. It's higher quality than what you can get on any other VR. So, like, I kind of want to test that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not only the cost, even though they've been on sale, I can find used ones for like $250 sometimes. It's just so much equipment to have in store. I'm trying to stop buying big crap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm finally at the point where, like, if I get any new furniture, like, another piece of furniture has to go. Like,
Same here. That's why I redid my whole living room, because I actually replaced a couch, and new couch is larger. Thought I was going to put it to the side. I'm like, oh wait, that doesn't work. So I had to rebuild the whole living room to make it work. Made a lot more open space. It works better. So ultimately, it was all for the better. But ended up needing to rearrange stuff that I couldn't before. But I gave up my 4x4 IKEA calyx, because that was actually a thing limiting me. So I just bought a whole crap load of smaller calyxes and have made, like, the form-fit calyxes around the entryway to my to the window to my kitchen. Instead, I've got a 2x4 calyx with a 2x2 calyx on top of it that's secured to it, and another 2x4 calyx laying down. I've got room for, like, another 1x3 calyx, like, making storage. It's all IKEA all the way down around here.
Yep. That's
But you can't beat that functionality for the price.
Yep. Wait, was there not? There's got to be something down here.
And yes, now there's room for Star Wars Connect. Zane's dad said, yes, I did buy that. I knew I needed it for a long time. I refused to buy it at full price. I waited until one of the game stores was having, like, a buy two get one type sale, because, like, I refused to pay like $8 or $10 for it. I just couldn't. Just on the principle of having to listen to I'm Han Solo. Like, I can't. So I bought it. It was like the free game on, like, a buy two get one. Oh man, if they had if I could get credit at IKEA, geez, after that, spent a bunch of money at IKEA getting the living room revamped.
Who could actually hit that thing and not? Does this attack? Can she survive getting impaled on that? No, she can't. Well, I mean, she can survive, but
Body slam the spike anyway.
yeah.
Boom. Oh.
I'm trying to figure out who can actually get a flying buzzy beetle.
Do you have no other elemental attacks on any other characters? Like,
Maybe
what doesn't one of your characters have, like, ice breath? Doesn't she have it?
Yeah, she. Well, let's see. Oh, maybe this would work. I've never used this attack. Well, that reduced attack power, but well, what the heck? I'm gonna just jump on as Mario anyway. It does some
Just
damage.
tank it.
I mean, I can use items, but I don't want to waste all my items.
Those teardrops.
Can this work? Oh. That works. Weird attack. But
that
worked.
is definitely a weird attack.
Oh, there's something else up there. I gotta get back up there. Okay, I see. Mario gets kissed by like a whole lot of characters in this game too.
I mean, it's nothing like a Kirby game where there's a whole lot of character kissing
Well,
going
yeah,
on.
that's like the whole healing mechanic of Kirby. Okay, here we go. Why is the keyhole on the inside? No, that's not gonna help. Oh wait. No. Oh, there's a door here. Let's check this first. Oh, is there an order to being the Goombas? Oh, I have no flower points. Oops. Oh, geez, I was a good bit further past 11 than I realized. I should probably find a good stopping point.
Yeah, as I was looking, like, yeah, I gotta start doing my stuff soon.
Yeah, you
I gotta play the 9 to 5 game. That game sucks.
Yeah, should probably wrap up pretty soon here. I don't know if I'm going to be at a good stopping point quickly here, or
I mean, at least it is a Switch, so it's the upside. Modern consoles.
Yep. 3-10-1. Whatever that means.
Zane's dad wanting to know what's on deck for backloggery.
Tomorrow we are going to play a mystery game, although it might not be that much of a mystery, because I believe it's been said in certain channels. We're going to play a mystery game first, and then we're going to kind of do because we're calling it the year of the PlayStation on the backloggery, and so we're kind of going to do a PS1 sampler stream, like maybe test out some games that we haven't tried before after we play a little bit of the mystery game.
Have you ever played on the PS1 Ball Blazer Championship or Ball Blazer Champion.
No, I have not.
You should give that a shot. I know on the surface it's
the name doesn't sound appealing.
The sport, yeah, it is sports games. It's futuristic soccer, but it is shockingly good.
Huh.
I
It sounds like a
back
likely candidate for because I don't have like a big enough SD card in my X station to have everything on it. So it sounds like a game that I might like. I got rid of everything that sounded like sports, And
I don't blame you. I would
like
because you're never catching me loading Madden or NCAA.
I don't know if it's on my X station or not.
Ball Blazer Champions. It was. I did double check. 'Cause I'm pretty sure it developed by Factor 5, published by LucasArts. So it's got a reasonable pedigree there for it was a Factor 5 game, and it was definitely it was a it wasn't as early as I thought. It was 97. I thought it was earlier than that. Like the graphics pretty strong. I found it was a little harder to go back and play now. Like I feel like it was like a predecessor, like a stepping stone to Rocket League, but obviously with much lower stakes. With some really interesting course design. It wasn't just your standard flat like soccer, but your robots scooping up the ball and fighting and sending stuff. Also for your weird stuff you haven't booted on PlayStation. Ever played Future Cop LAPD? You're familiar with that?
No.
I played a bit in the single player campaign, but what I spent the most time doing, that game has an excellent mode called a Precinct Assault. You can either play it against the computer or multiplayer. It is you convert back and forth between a bipedal mech and a motorcycle and a hover bike, basically.
Oh.
And it is the single player campaign's decent. The side mode, the Precinct Assault, is an insane amount of fun. You're trying to it's kind of almost a real-time strategy-ish. You're capturing these points, these turrets. When you capture them, they start attacking the enemy, and you're trying to get points from capturing these turrets to create these drones, little Roomba-looking things. And those things, you're trying to make it. They're automated, obviously, and trying to make it into the enemy's base. And he's trying to he's trying to claim towers, destroy yours, wait for them to respawn to claim them for himself, to then create towers to defend against your little Roombas. And it kind of has a feeling like you could almost feel some really early super competitive, almost esport like titles, but in a fun way, not in that way of, oh my god, this is terrible. Like,
esports but fun.
Exactly. I hate esports type titles for the most part, but like your 1990s variants of those, when video games were actually made to be fun and not just made to be a spectacle. So yeah. You should give that a shot in games you haven't booted. I actually got very lucky recently and picked up the PC copy of that, which is a fairly expensive game for a box copy, and picked it up in a estate sale of somebody who worked for EA Tiburon, dating back to the pre-EA days, because EA Tiburon's here in Orlando. And it had a bunch of stuff. I didn't get the super cool stuff I was hoping to get from the place, but I did get a number of PC games out of this collection, including a really nice Warcraft 1 in box, and including in Future Cop LAPD on PC, nice big box. SimCity 2000 on big box with floppy disks, and a few others, Giant Citizen Kabuto, Need for Speed 3, which is my favorite of the old school Need for Speed games, like all these PC big box games, which are just awesome to have for display pieces because, well, big box. But yeah, finally getting a PC copy of Future Cop is awesome. But I've never played it on PC. Got a lot of hours in the PlayStation version now.
Well, I reckon we can ride into the sunset with the death sun behind us here.
That's the Florida sun. That's what that is.
The Florida sun. This will be your reality when you wake up.
Yep.
So yeah, thanks Henry for the last minute pinch hitter
7:45 message. Hey, no, anytime, dude.
And thanks everyone for watching, even though it turned out to maybe not be the best section of the game to stream, since it was a lot of going back and forth in that train, but you know, whatever. So yeah, thanks everyone who donated and stuck around, and we will see you next week for who knows what.
Yep, it's been fun. Thanks for having me.
Good night, everybody.
I'll be back in